Chapter 797. Of course, he had learned this formation from Liaocang. In fact, Lu Ming's formation was not the complete version of the Sword Roar Thunderclap formation. The complete version of the Sword Roaring Thunder formation was a top-level 6 formation. Warriors at the peak of the spiritual sea realm would definitely die if they stepped into it. Lu Ming had spent more than 10 minutes in the battle to set it up in a hurry. Of course, it was not that powerful, but it was enough to deal with Wang Haotian and the others. Wang Haotian, Jiang Taiyu, and the others tried their best to rush out of the formation, leaving behind 5 or 6 corpses. Damn it! Wang Haotian roared. Today, not only did he not get the token he wanted, but he also left Wang Kong here. If the news got back to the Wang family, it would be a heavy blow to his prestige. His formation was set up in a hurry. Its power is limited. As long as we keep attacking, we will exhaust the energy of the formation. Then, we can go in. Luan Fengyun said with a gloomy face. Okay, we will take turns attacking. Wang Haotian said. Immediately, they arranged for Luan Fengyun to attack first. Arrows streaked across the sky like meteors, shooting towards the grand formation below. However, sword chi whistled within the grand formation, blocking all the arrows. Shao Qing, fatty, don't worry about your injuries. They won't be able to break in. Lu Ming sat cross-legged at the entrance of the cave and said. His spirit fire was so strong that it could continuously inscribe new inscriptions into the formation. Luan Fengyun and the others could not break it with their attacks. Xian Yanqing, Kong Jin, Wan Tingting, and the others let out a long sigh. They relaxed and started to heal their injuries. Lu Ming looked at Kenfei Ryu in the cave with a trace of worry in his eyes. If Kenfei Ryu wanted to recover, he needed treasures that could replenish his bloodline power. He could only look for treasures that could replenish his bloodline power after everything here was over. Fortunately, it shouldn't be hard to find treasures that could replenish bloodline power. Back in the Burning Sun Empire, there were blood-refining crystals and blood-refining pills that could replenish bloodline power and strengthen the second bloodline awakening. Naturally, Nine Dragon City wouldn't lack such treasures. However, it was inconvenient to carry Kenfei Ryu around like this. I wonder if I can keep it in the Temple of Paragon. Lu Ming's heart stirred. A strand of true essence rolled out, and Kenfei Ryu's figure disappeared. As expected, Kenfei Ryu appeared in the Temple of Paragon. Great! Lu Ming was overjoyed. It must be because Kenfei Ryu's body was completely devoid of vitality that he was able to absorb it. Up in the sky, chaotic winds and clouds attacked continuously. After half an hour, it was Wang Haotian's turn again. Just like that, time slowly passed. 1 hour, 2 hours, soon, a day had passed. Not only did Luan Fengyun and the others fail to break through the Sword Roar Thunderclap formation, they even exhausted themselves. Damn it! How can this be? How can his spiritual fire be so strong? Wang Haotian roared. He was so frustrated that he was about to vomit blood. The others were also glaring at Lu Ming, who was sitting cross-legged at the entrance of the cave. Shao Qing, fatty, how's your recovery? Lu Ming asked. I have fully recovered. I can fight a great battle now. The fatty grinned, revealing a ferocious expression. I'm almost recovered too. Xian Yanqing said. Then let's charge out. Lu Ming said. In terms of combat strength, they were no match for chaotic winds and clouds and Wang Haotian. They could only charge out and raise their cultivation before killing them in the future. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. It was extremely fast, and by the time everyone heard it, a dozen figures had already appeared in the sky. These people were all young, and they were all wearing armor and helmets. Their eyes were as sharp as knives. Standing at the front was a young man with a ferocious look in his eyes, like a wild beast. Long Qianli of the Imperial Sky Guard. Chaotic winds and clouds could not help but exclaim. The others, such as Wang Haotian and Jiang Taiyu, also exclaimed. The spectators were even more shocked. They were not only shocked by the Imperial Sky Guard, but also the young man, Long Qinli. Long Qinli was ranked in the top 300 on the list of top 1,000 talents. He was a true god-level genius who had awakened the god-level bloodline. Chaotic winds and clouds, how dare you! Blue Gold Reverend was the commander of the Imperial Sky Guard and his successor. How dare you take it away? Long Qinli's eyes swept across Chaotic Winds and the others. Long Qinli, Blue Gold Reverend, has been dead for a long time. His legacy is already without an owner. Why can't we take it away? Chaotic Winds and Clouds said. Now that I'm here, you can get lost. We're going to bring the successor of Blue Gold Reverend back to the Imperial Sky Guard and train him to be the true successor of Blue Gold Reverend. Long Qinli said coldly. He was not polite at all and did not give Chaotic Winds and the others any face. The main forces of the Imperial Sky Divine Palace were divided into 3 groups. The first group was the Imperial Sky Guard, which was the direct subordinate of Martial Emperor De. They were extremely powerful. The second group was the 6 great ancient families. The third group was the Imperial Sky Guard's branch palaces. In fact, these 3 groups all obeyed Martial Emperor De and fought for him. However, they did not get along well with each other. Most of the people in the Imperial Sky Guard were not of noble birth. Few of them were disciples of the 6 great ancient families. Most of them were geniuses from small forces like Yan Kuangtu. They would constantly take in geniuses and train them to become the pillars of the Imperial Sky Guard. Back then, Supreme Nine Sons was one of the highest commanders of the Imperial Sky Guard. Now, Yan Kuangtu was also one of the highest commanders of the Imperial Sky Guard. Therefore, the geniuses of the Imperial Sky Guard did not get along well with the geniuses of the 6 great ancient families. Competition was a common occurrence. Chaotic Winds and Clouds' face darkened after being scolded by Long Qinli. Long Qinli, don't go too far. Chaotic Winds and Clouds said in a deep voice. Yes, I'm bullying you. What can you do about it? Do you want to have a fight with me? The ferocious look in Long Qinli's eyes grew stronger, as if he were a ferocious beast that was about to attack. Humph, apart from me, Brother Wang Haotian and the geniuses of the Jiang clan are here. We are not afraid of you. Chaotic Winds and Clouds said coldly as a powerful aura was emitted from her body. Wang Haotian appeared beside Chaotic Winds and Clouds. His aura was also emitted. Hee, it seems like you all are interested in witnessing the power of a god-ranked bloodline. Long Qinli's ferocious look grew stronger as a cold grin appeared on his face. Roar! Suddenly, the cry of a dragon echoed in the heavens and earth. A serpent dashed out from Long Qinli's body. The serpent was pitch black in color. Most shockingly, it had 3 heads. This was a legendary ferocious beast, the 3-headed demonic serpent. It was extremely powerful. It was said that the 3-headed demonic serpent could even compete with some of the weaker true dragons. One could imagine how terrifying it was. A golden chakra on the 3-headed demonic serpent's body attracted everyone's attention. A golden chakra was a god-ranked bloodline. Chapter 798. A 9th-grade king-class bloodline might seem to be only 1 grade away from a 1st-grade god-class bloodline, but in essence, they were worlds apart. There was no comparison at all. Those who had not awakened a divine bloodline would have limited achievements in the future. Only those who had awakened a divine bloodline could be considered a divine-level genius, and their future achievements would be limitless. The top 300 on the list of top 1,000 talents were all geniuses who had awakened a divine bloodline. Is this the power of a divine bloodline? There was a glint in Lu Ming's eyes and he looked forward to it. At this moment, Long Qinli's body seemed to turn into a beam of light and rushed into his bloodline. Kill! The 3-headed demon snake opened its mouth, and its voice was exactly the same as Long Qinli's. The three-headed demon snake seemed to have come alive and turned into a real three-headed demon snake. Bloodline fusion. It was said that those who had awakened a divine bloodline could perform bloodline fusion. Their bodies would merge with their bloodline and turn into their bloodline form, erupting with terrifying combat strength. The three-headed demon snake's huge claws slapped toward Chaos Fengyun and the others. "Let's work together." Chaos Fengyun roared, his eyes filled with horror. A powerful aura erupted from his body as he knocked an arrow and instantly shot out 9 arrows in a line toward the three-headed demon snake. At the same time, Wang Haotian, Jiang Taiyu, and the others also attacked. Together, they attacked the three-headed demon snake. Clang! First, the 9 arrows were swatted away by the three-headed demon snake's claws. The huge claws continued to strike forward. Bang! Bang! Chaos Fengyun, Wang Haotian, and the others all trembled violently and flew out like cannonballs, vomiting blood. In one move, Chaos Fengyun and the others were all injured, and they all looked at Long Qinli in horror. "You want to fight me with just the likes of you? You're overestimating yourselves." The three-headed demon snake spoke in human language, and then quickly shrank. In the next moment, it turned back into Long Qinli's appearance and looked fiercely at Chaos Fengyun and the others. Crushing, it was a complete crushing. The onlookers were shocked. Is this the power of a divine bloodline? Bloodline fusion is indeed powerful. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Long Qinli's cultivation should be in the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. Although he was higher than Wan Fengyun and the others, it was very difficult for normal prodigies to achieve such a complete suppression. However, Long Qinli completely suppressed them, and no one knew how much power Long Qinli used just now. As one's cultivation increased, the power of the bloodline fusion would become even stronger. "Do you still want to fight?" Long Qinli glanced at Wan Fengyun and the others, causing their expressions to change greatly. "Long Qinli, the god-level prodigies of our 3 families are not here today. Otherwise, we might not be afraid of you," Wan Fengyun said through gritted teeth. "Nonsense. Now, scram," Long Qinli said. "Long Qinli, you can take Reverend Lan Jin's successor, but the others belong to us," Wang Haotian said. He still hadn't given up on Lu Ming's token. Long Qinli frowned as he swept Lu Ming and the others with his gaze, and then his gaze descended onto Wan Tingting in the end. He said, "You're the inheritor of Exalt Blue Silver, right? Come with us." "No." Lu Ming took a step forward and said in a clear voice. No? You want to stop me?" Long Qinli's gaze turned cold. "She's my friend. If you want to take her away and take away the inheritance from her soul, you'll have to go through me first." Lu Ming's gaze was extremely firm. "Ha ha ha." Unexpectedly, Long Qinli suddenly laughed out loud and said, "So that's what you're worried about? You don't have to. Do you think we're as disgusting as the 6 ancient families? We won't take away her inheritance when we take her back. Instead, we'll nurture her and let her grow stronger." "Oh. How can I believe you?" Lu Ming said. "This is very simple. In history, this lady isn't the only one who has obtained the inheritance of an expert. Those who went to the D Tian Imperial Guard in the end were all nurtured. Some of them even reached the top of the D Tian Imperial Guard. No one has ever been robbed of their inheritance. Who doesn't know this?" Long Qinli said. "Lu Ming, I'll go with them." Wan Tingting walked out of the cave and said, "The D Tian Imperial Guard has indeed never robbed others of their inheritance." Wan Tingting was very clear that her best option now was to go to the D Tian Imperial Guard. If she didn't go, the 6 ancient families wouldn't give up and she would even implicate Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming and the rest were also very clear about this. "Young Master Long, I can go with you, but I have a condition," Wan Tingting said. "What condition?" Long Qinli asked. "I want them to leave this place with me." After we leave the 100 Supremes Mountain, I'll let you go. Ruan Tingting pointed at Lu Ming and the rest. No, they have to stay. Wang Haotian suddenly shouted. Is it your turn to speak? Long Qianli's eyes suddenly darkened. He glanced at Wang Haotian, causing Wang Haotian's face to turn pale. For the sake of your friends, all of you were willing to fight until the very end. You fought with all your might against powerful enemies. I admire true chosen and heroes like you the most. Even if you didn't say anything, I would have done the same. Very well. Long Qianli said loudly. Lu Ming, let's leave this place together. Ruan Tingting looked at Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and the rest. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Right now, it was better to leave this place and increase his cultivation. Immediately, Lu Ming waved his hand and the sword roar thunderclap formation disappeared. Let's go. Long Qianli led the way, and Lu Ming and the rest followed Long Qianli and the rest as they flew out. Damn it! Wang Haotian roared, his eyes flashing with cold murderous intent. Humph, inform the family. We can't let these people go easily. Luan Fengyun also said coldly. They sent the news to their families. Lu Ming and the rest quickly left the 100 Supremes Mountain and flew towards the west. The Wang family's dragon vein was at the easternmost side, and the Di Tian Imperial Guard was at the center of Nine Dragon City. It was at least 10 million miles away from here. After flying for a few 100,000 miles, they stopped. Tingting, we won't send you off. Take care. Kong Jin said reluctantly. And, you guys too. When I'm done with my cultivation, I'll come back to look for you guys. Ruan Tingting said. Tingting, goodbye. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing also bid farewell to Ruan Tingting. Lu Ming then cupped his fists at Long Qianli and said, Brother Long, Lu Ming has something to ask. Is there any place in Nine Dragon City that can replenish one's blood essence? Of course, the 10,000 blood pool is the most suitable place to replenish one's bloodline. That place is a high-grade cultivation sacred ground. You can accumulate bloodline power there, and it's very helpful for awakening your third bloodline. However, you need a token to enter. Long Qianli said. 10,000 blood pool. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Lu Ming, I'll give you this jade talisman. It records some of the cultivation sacred grounds in Nine Dragon City. There are ordinary ones and advanced ones. However, only those who are qualified can enter the advanced cultivation sacred grounds. You can take a look. Chapter 799. Lu Ming received it and said, Many thanks. You're welcome. Let's go. Long Qianli smiled and left with the Di Tian Imperial Guard and Ruan Tingting. Fatty, stop looking. She's already gone far. Lu Ming patted Kong Jin's shoulder when he saw that Kong Jin was still staring in the direction Ruan Tingting left in. I didn't expect a fatty like you to be so loyal. Xian Yanqing's lips twitched. Of course. Don't you know who I am? A lamb leg appeared in Kong Jin's hand at some point, and he started to chew on it. Didn't you want me to introduce you to little Qing's sister? Lu Ming whispered to Fatty. Fatty immediately straightened his body, and his eyes lit up. Of course, I have to introduce her. Tingting is Tingting, little Qing's sister. That's her sister. It's different. Shameless. Both of you are shameless. Jackals of the same tribe. Xian Yanqing scolded and glared at Lu Ming. Fatty chuckled and continued to chew on the lamb leg. He asked, Lu Ming, where are we going now? We definitely can't go to the 100 Supremes Mountain. Let's go to the 10,000 blood pool first to save Brother Jian. Little Qing, Fatty, you guys didn't participate in the 100 Supremes Towers test, right? Lu Ming asked. 100 Supremes Tower? Xian Yanqing and the Fatty were both puzzled. After passing the 100 Supremes Towers test, you can obtain a token that leads to a higher cultivation ground. With your talent, passing the test shouldn't be a problem. Let's return to the 100 Supremes Mountain first. After you get the token, we'll go to the 10,000 blood pool together. Lu Ming said. The 10,000 blood pool could not only treat Kenfei Ryu, but it could also help them accumulate their bloodline power in preparation for awakening their third bloodline. Are we going back to the 100 Supremes Mountain in disguise? Xian Yanqing asked. Lu Ming nodded. Lu Ming, you guys should stop chatting. You guys are in danger. Dandan suddenly said. Their hearts skipped a beat. Dandan, what happened? Lu Ming asked. You've been targeted as soon as you left the 100 Supremes Mountain. I believe some experts will be here soon. Dandan said. Lu Ming frowned. Dandan's senses were very strong, so it shouldn't be wrong. Who was that? They targeted them as soon as they left the 100 Supremes Mountain. Could they be from the Wang clan or the Wan clan? Let's go. Lu Ming said. Then, they flew toward a vast mountain. Soon, they landed in a valley. Lu Ming began to inscribe inscriptions in the valley. Lines of inscriptions sank into the ground. A few minutes later, a light screen flashed and enveloped them. Afterward, Lu Ming engraved an array to restrain the aura of himself, Xian Yanqing, and the fatty, completely concealing their auras. This is an illusion formation. They can't see us from the outside at all. They can only see a pile of rocks. I want to see who wants to kill us. Lu Ming said coldly. Not long after, a loud whistle sounded, and at least a dozen silhouettes flew over. These people were wearing black robes and looked quite old. They were definitely not young. They stopped in the air above the mountain valley and looked around. They should be coming here. What's going on? Why did their aura disappear? Chase them. This time, we can't let them get away. How dare they kill the geniuses of the Shangguan clan? They must die. Also, the elder instructed us to do it secretly. We can't let others know that we're the ones who did it. An old voice was heard. It was filled with cold killing intent. Then, the group split into several groups and chased in different directions. So they're from the Shangguan clan. Killing intent flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. After killing the young, the old came to kill them secretly. This was the style of the big aristocratic families. They were really despicable and shameless. Lu Ming, what are you going to do? Xian Yanqing looked at Lu Ming. Since they're coming, we'll kill them all at once. Anyway, I'm lacking spirit crystals. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Huh, that's great. Kong Jin laughed. Then, Lu Ming began to inscribe inscription formations. At first, he inscribed a few illusion formations, covering the entire mountain valley. Then, he began to inscribe killing formations. This time, it took Lu Ming a day to inscribe 12 6th-grade formations in the mountain valley. Among them, the Sword Roar Thunder formation was the main one. With the strength of my spirit fire, I can't completely inscribe the Sword Roar Thunder formation. But those people from the Shangguan clan have the highest cultivation. They should be in the 7th layer of the spiritual sea realm. It's enough to kill them. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Let's ask them to come over now. Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming removed the formation that concealed their aura and the illusion formation that shrouded them. Suddenly, the three of them were exposed in the mountain valley. Then, the three of them sat cross-legged in the mountain valley and began to cultivate. Powerful aura burst out without any concealment. Tens of thousands of miles away, a few black-robed people were flying. What's going on? We've been searching for so long, but we haven't found those little bastards. Where did they go? Could it be that they're already far away from this place? Someone growled. Calm down. According to the aura detected by the formation plate, they should be in this area. Let's continue to search. An old voice came from the leader. At this moment, the old man suddenly stopped. There's a reaction. The old man was holding a formation plate in his hand. At this moment, there was a point on the formation plate that was glowing. Gather the others. The old man in the lead said. Soon, more than a dozen people gathered from all directions and flew towards Lu Ming's direction. Not long after, they appeared above the mountain valley where Lu Ming's group was. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Kong Jin suddenly opened their eyes. They seemed to be a little surprised and stood up one after another. Everyone, what's the matter? Lu Ming asked pretentiously. We're here to kill you. The old man in the lead said. Kill us? Who are you? Lu Ming's face changed drastically, and Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin also pretended to be shocked. Hee, you don't have to ask about this. Go to the underworld and find out. You guys, go down and kill them. The old man waved his hand, and 3 black-robed people rushed down. Their aura burst out, and they launched a crazy attack towards Lu Ming's group. However, the 3 of them didn't activate their bloodline, as if they didn't want to expose their identities. The 3 of them were all at the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, and their battle prowess was extremely terrifying. That old guy is really cautious. Lu Ming thought. Obviously, the old man in the lead sent out 3 people to test the waters first. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Kong Jin stood together. They didn't want to achieve anything, but they didn't want to make any mistakes, resisting with all their strength. Now wasn't the time to activate the formation. What Lu Ming wanted was to wipe them out in one fell swoop. The 3 of them worked together and cooperated with each other. The 3 experts at the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier couldn't break through their defense at all. Chapter 800. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 100 moves, and it was still hard to determine the winner. These 3 little bastards are really strong. They must be killed. The old man in the lead revealed a shocked expression. Lu Ming and the other 2 were all in the 2nd layer of the spiritual ocean tier, but when the 3 of them worked together, their coordination was flawless. It was really shocking that they could fight against 3 experts in the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. There shouldn't be any problems. Let's attack together and end the battle quickly. If it takes too long, it might attract the attention of others. The old man in the lead spoke. The battle caused quite a commotion. If other experts passed by and exposed their identities, the Shangguan clan would have a hard time explaining to the outside world. At this time, if the younger generation was defeated, they would send the older generation to secretly kill them. Then, how would the geniuses of other large regions dare to come to Nine Dragon City to compete with the geniuses? If they accidentally beat up the geniuses of large aristocratic families and secretly sent the older generation to kill them, then who would dare to come? Kill! Kill! The others shouted coldly and charged into the valley together. The powerful aura and cold killing intent made Lu Ming and the others feel a chill. There were at least 5 experts in the 7th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, and their battle prowess completely crushed them. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically, and he roared, "Charge, charge out!" They tried their best to charge out, but the 3 experts in the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier blocked them with all their strength. The next moment, a dozen black-robed people all descended into the valley. 3 little bastards, I'll send you on your way. Remember in your next life to be low-key. Some people can't be offended. The old man in the lead said. Hee, is that so? In my eyes, your Shangguan clan is really nothing. Lu Ming sneered. The old man's expression changed drastically, and he said, You know us? I've been waiting for you. Now, let me send you on your way. Lu Ming sneered and took a step forward. Wang! Instantly, the whole valley shone brightly. Dense inscriptions appeared on the ground and walls. Inscriptions of various colors intertwined, dazzling and eye-catching. Not good, we fell into a trap. Retreat! The old man roared involuntarily. Too late, kill! Lu Ming shouted coldly. Endless sword chi condensed and shot towards the old man and the others. Lu Ming had spent quite a bit of time on this sword chi thunderclap formation. Although he could not unleash its full power, it was still much more powerful than when he had hastily cast it on the 100 Supremes mountain. Moreover, there were 11 other formations to assist him. Vines shot out and wrapped around the Shangguan clan members. Then, sword chi, saber chi, and spear chi slashed at them. Puchi. Puchi. 10 experts in the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier were instantly killed. Only 5 experts in the 7th layer of the spiritual ocean tier were still holding on bitterly, trying to break out, but they couldn't. All kinds of grand formations covered them. The 12 great formations that Lu Ming laid down were not purely offensive formations, but also trapping formations. Soon, the mountain of 5 was drenched in blood. Wounds were inflicted by the sword chi. Ah, my Shangguan clan will not let you off. The old man in the lead let out an unwilling roar. But soon, they followed in the footsteps of their predecessors and were killed here. 15 experts in the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier and above were all killed. These people have quite a lot of supreme grade spirit crystals. Let's find a place to cultivate first. Lu Ming said. He grabbed the 15 people's rings of holding, and devoured their blood essences. The blood essence of these 15 people was too strong. He had a feeling that he couldn't control it and urgently needed to find a place to cultivate. Immediately, Lu Ming waved his hand and flames appeared, burning the 15 corpses into ashes. Then, the 3 of them left and flew into the distance. After 200,000 miles, they found a hidden cave and walked in. You guys check these storage rings. I'm going to cultivate. After saying that, Lu Ming sat cross-legged and refined the blood essence with all his might. Previously, in the battle with the Wang clan, Jiang clan, and Luan clan at the 100 Supremes mountain, he killed 6 experts in the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier and refined their blood essence. Lu Ming felt that the prison-suppressing steel bloodline was getting closer and closer to leveling up. He seemed to be able to see the level of the divine bloodline. Lu Ming was refining the blood essence with all his might. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin were also cultivating. The lowest of the 15 martial artists was in the 6th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, and there were 5 in the 7th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. The power of the blood essence was too strong. It was constantly refined and poured into the prison-suppressing steel bloodline. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. This time, the refining process took 3 full days. Buzz. Above Lu Ming's head, the prison-suppressing steel bloodline shook crazily. 9 silver chakras emitted a dazzling light like 9 silver suns. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin both opened their eyes and looked at Lu Ming. Suddenly, their eyes widened and their mouths opened wide. Xian Yanqing was a little better, especially Kong Jin, whose mouth was opened so wide that it could swallow a big lamb leg. The 9 silver chakras on the prison-suppressing steel actually slowly converged towards the bottom. At first, 2 chakras merged together, then 3 chakras merged together. In the end, a total of 9 silver chakras merged together. The moment the 9 silver chakras merged together, it no longer emitted silver light, but golden light. At the same time, the size of the prison-suppressing steel also expanded rapidly, becoming even more majestic and tall. On top of it, there was a desolate, ancient, and heavy aura, as if it came from the ancient times, crossing time and space, giving people a strong pressure. The clouds above also became a little lighter, allowing people to see the lines on the prison-suppressing steel more clearly. A golden chakra surrounded the prison-suppressing steel. The divine bloodline has leveled up, it has leveled up to the divine bloodline. Kong Jin stared blankly, dumbfounded. Xian Yanqing was still okay, because she already knew that Lu Ming's bloodline would level up. Although she was shocked, she didn't lose her composure. Finally, it has leveled up to the divine bloodline. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. In his heart, there was a strange feeling that he could transform into the prison-suppressing steel at any time and suppress all enemies. Thinking of this, he couldn't wait. With a thought, he suddenly felt his body turning into a ray of light, entering the prison-suppressing steel. At this moment, the aura of the prison-suppressing steel increased greatly. An even more strange feeling was born. Lu Ming felt as if he was a prison-suppressing steel. Prison-suppressing heavenly skill. Lu Ming felt that even if he transformed into the prison-suppressing steel, he could still use the prison-suppressing heavenly skill, and the power was much stronger than when he used it. Whoosh! In the next moment, the prison-suppressing steel shrunk and finally turned into Lu Ming's figure, appearing on the ground. Lu Ming, your bloodline can actually level up. Amazing, amazing. Chapter 801. Fatty, this is a secret technique that I comprehended from my bloodline. It can devour blood essence and upgrade the bloodline level. Lu Ming said. Fatty's character was unquestionable. For Wantingting, he risked his life to fight the Wan family. At the same time, in order not to implicate them, he didn't transmit his voice to them at first. They could be said to have experienced life and death battles, so Lu Ming naturally trusted him. Moreover, if they often traveled together in the future, the matter of his bloodline couldn't be hidden. Therefore, Lu Ming didn't hide the fact that his bloodline had been upgraded. Of course, he also didn't mention the 9 dragons' bloodline, but only the secret technique in his bloodline. Bloodline's secret technique, amazing, amazing, why don't I have such a powerful secret technique? The fatty pulled a long face. He suddenly stretched out his hands and touched Lu Ming's body. Hey, fatty, what are you doing? I don't have that kind of hobby. Lu Ming stepped back and said. Let me see, let me study it. Fatty's small eyes lit up. Lu Ming directly kicked Fatty, making him fall flat on his face. Fatty, this is the secret of my bloodline. Don't tell anyone. Lu Ming warned. I know, let me study it. Fatty still didn't give up. Get lost. This time, it wasn't Lu Ming who spoke, but Xian Yanqing. She stared at Fatty with an unfriendly gaze, a lotus dancing on her finger. Fatty immediately became obedient and muttered, You only care about your man. You even beat up your friends. I'm so miserable. Xian Yanqing's eyelids twitched, and her face was a little red. Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing with a smile, and said, You've broken through to the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean tier? He discovered that Xian Yanqing and the fatty had both made breakthroughs in the past few days. He had been refining the blood essence with all his strength, but he also felt it halfway. Yes. Xian Yanqing nodded. It's useless even if I broke through. I still can't beat a monster like you. You actually managed to upgrade your bloodline to the divine level. Once your bloodline fuses, how am I supposed to fight you? Fatty muttered. Then you guys have to awaken your 3rd bloodline as soon as possible. Let's go. We'll return to the 100 Supremes Mountain now. You guys can challenge the 100 Supremes Tower and obtain the tokens. After that, we'll head to the blood pool together. Lu Ming said. However, they naturally wouldn't return like this. Instead, they would change their appearances. At their level, changing their appearance and body was a very simple matter. As long as they could control their muscles and bones, it was very easy. The main thing was their aura. No matter how they changed their appearance and bones, their aura would not change. However, this was simple. Lu Ming directly engraved a formation on the 3 of them to restrain their auras. Since he couldn't change it, he just had to keep it in check. The 3 of them changed their appearances and bodies, changed their clothes, and flew towards the 100 Venerables Mountain. Half a day later, they returned to the 100 Supremes Mountain and headed straight for the 100 Supremes Tower. Below the 100 Masters Tower, there were still a few people watching. At this moment, someone was challenging the tower. However, the highest one was only on the 6th floor. Not long after, everyone failed. When the light on the 6th floor dimmed, Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin rushed into the 100 Supremes Tower. There were also a few other people who followed them. Lu Ming stood there and watched. he wasn't worried. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin's wills were very strong. They had comprehended it to a very deep level. Moreover, they had fused the two wills together. It shouldn't be a problem for them to pass the 100 Supremes Tower. Rumble. At this moment, a violent sonic boom came from the sky. A blazing aura spread down and a figure covered in purple flames flew over rapidly. Boom! With a loud boom, a figure landed on the ground. The blazing aura came wave after wave. Lu Ming looked over. Then, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. That person was actually Wang Haotian. Get lost! Wang Haotian shouted coldly and strode forward. The others hurriedly retreated, giving the best position to Wang Haotian. However, Lu Ming stood still and did not move. You're not retreating? Wang Haotian looked coldly at Lu Ming. Wang Haotian had been in a bad mood for the past few days. He brought Wang Kong and Kenfei Ryu with him, intending to get the token of a higher cultivation holy land from Lu Ming. In the end, not only did he not get the token, but Wang Kong also died and he was injured. Because of this, he was even scolded by the elders in his family. In the past few days, he had treated his injuries and planned to challenge the 100 Supremes Tower again, hoping to get the token. Now, he asked the others to get lost, but they didn't. Were they not giving him face? Wang Haotian's heart was burning with anger. Lu Ming's lips curled into a sneer as he looked at Wang Haotian coldly. His original plan was to go to the blood pool and save Kenfei Ryu. Then, he would go to another cultivation holy land to cultivate for a period of time and improve his cultivation. Then, he would find an opportunity to kill Wang Haotian. However, he didn't expect Wang Haotian to deliver himself to him. Lu Ming didn't mind making a move now. Seeing that Lu Ming dared to look at him like that, the anger in Wang Haotian's heart burned even more. Brat, how dare you stare at me with such a gaze? Today, there's no need for your eyes to exist. Wang Haotian emitted a cold murderous intent. At this moment, the 100 Supremes Tower lit up one by one. Soon, the 5th floor lit up, and in the next moment, the 6th floor also lit up. Lu Ming knew that it wouldn't take long for Xian Yanqing and the others to reach the 9th floor. Since that was the case, he would get rid of Wang Haotian. Wang Haotian, I said that I will kill you. Have you forgotten so quickly? Lu Ming curled his lips and said coldly. Hearing Lu Ming's voice, Wang Haotian's expression suddenly changed, and he said, It's you, Lu Ming? The bones in Lu Ming's body moved, and in the next moment, he returned to his original appearance. Ha ha ha, it's really you, Lu Ming. I didn't expect that you would dare to come back and show yourself in front of me. Good, good, this time, I'll see who can save you. Wang Haotian's face was filled with ecstasy. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that Lu Ming was still in the 100 Supremes Mountain. He had thought that Lu Ming had already left and headed to a higher level of cultivation. Moreover, Lu Ming didn't have any companions by his side, which made him even happier. What are you so happy about? You weren't my opponent back then. Why would I need anyone to save me? Lu Ming sneered. Back then, you only relied on the formation. Today, I won't give you a chance. Kill. After saying that, Wang Haotian suddenly exploded, and a blazing aura spread out. He used his full strength as soon as he attacked. He wanted to completely suppress Lu Ming with a violent attack, so that he wouldn't have a chance to inscribe inscriptions. Why would I need inscriptions against you? Lu Ming smirked and lashed out with his palm. Bang! In the next moment, Wang Haotian's figure shuddered violently, and the flames on his body flickered. He was knocked backward rapidly and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. How could this be? How did your attack become so much stronger? Chapter 802. He unleashed his full strength, but he was actually pushed back by Lu Ming's palm. Lu Ming was clearly still at the second level of the spiritual ocean realm, the same as a few days ago. Why did his attack suddenly increase so much? Lu Ming's palm seemed to have the power to suppress everything. It was extremely terrifying. I said, I don't need inscriptions to kill you. Kill. Lu Ming's killing intent burst out. He strode out, his palm like a heavenly monument, and slashed at Wang Haotian. The suppressing hell heaven skill would become more and more powerful as the suppressing hell steel bloodline upgraded. When the suppressing hell steel bloodline upgraded to the divine level, the power of the suppressing hell heaven skill was directly equivalent to the 6th level of the demigod level martial skill, the highest level. Its power was more than 10 times stronger than before. Although there was no change in Lu Ming's cultivation level, his combat ability had improved tremendously. Wang Haotian was shocked and furious. He unleashed his full strength to resist desperately, but he was still completely suppressed by Lu Ming. He was bombarded back and forth, coughing up blood. At the bottom of the tower, the other people were even more dumbfounded. A few days ago, Lu Ming almost single-handedly stopped the 9 geniuses of the 3 aristocratic families, shocking the 100 Supremes mountain. They never thought that the person standing beside them just now was Lu Ming. And now, Lu Ming even unleashed a terrifying battle strength. He did not use the path of inscription. He suppressed Wang Haotian with pure battle strength, leaving Wang Haotian with no power to fight back. In just a few days, how could Lu Ming's battle strength increase so much? Bang! Lu Ming struck out with his palm. One of Wang Haotian's arms cracked, and the bones were broken. He spat out blood and flew back. He was no match for Lu Ming at all. Lu Ming, just you wait. Wang Haotian roared and turned to run. Lu Ming chased with a sneer. After 1,000 miles, Lu Ming suddenly sped up and blocked in front of Wang Haotian. There's no one now, so I can kill you. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. You want to kill me? Although your battle strength is stronger than mine, you want to kill me? Dream on. Wang Haotian roared. Really? The sneer at the corner of Lu Ming's mouth deepened. The next moment, Wang. The prison-suppressing steel appeared above Lu Ming's head. The bright golden light almost blinded Wang Haotian's eyes. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he roared in disbelief, "Divine bloodline. You've awakened a divine bloodline." His voice was filled with shock, jealousy, hatred, and fear. He wanted to use the medallion to enter the 10,000 blood pool, accumulate bloodline power, awaken his divine-grade bloodline, and become a divine-grade prodigy. But now, Lu Ming was the first to succeed in his dream. How could he not be jealous? He was also terrified because he knew how terrifying a god-tier bloodline was. Run. Without thinking, he turned around and fled. It's too late to run now. Lu Ming's body turned into light and entered the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline. Wang. The prison-suppressing steel's bloodline vibrated and instantly pierced through the layers of space. It was like an ancient divine mountain that suppressed Wang Haotian. Wang Haotian had nowhere to run. The terrifying pressure made him extremely terrified. All of his attacks and defenses were useless in front of the prison-suppressing steel. They instantly collapsed. No, my sister will avenge me. Wang Haotian roared, then his voice stopped abruptly. Under the suppression of the prison-suppressing steel, Wang Haotian was torn into pieces and died on the spot. The prison-suppressing steel shrank and turned back into Lu Ming's figure. With a wave of his hand, he put away Wang Haotian's storage ring and devoured his blood essence. Then, flames appeared and turned Wang Haotian's body into ashes. In a flash, Lu Ming left and returned to the bottom of the 100 Masters Pagoda. Of course, he had changed his figure again. At this time, the 8th floor of the 100 Masters Pagoda had lit up. The few people at the bottom of the pagoda did not even realize that he had returned. They were just staring blankly at the 100 Masters Pagoda. They were naturally shocked that someone had reached the 8th floor. The 9th floor has lit up. Someone suddenly exclaimed. It's really the 9th floor. Someone has reached the 9th floor again. Is it one of those two? A woman and a fatty? Everyone else has come out. Only the two of them are left. Amazing. The others sighed. Lu Ming smiled slightly. In the Wang family, where the dragon vein was located, there was a chain of volcanoes. The volcanoes erupted all year round. As this was the land of the dragon vein, the temperature of the volcanoes here was frighteningly high. It was 100 times hotter than ordinary volcanoes. Suddenly, an angry roar came from one of the volcanoes. In the next moment, a firebird completely made of flames flew out of the volcano and transformed into a beautiful woman. However, the woman's body was filled with incomparably cold killing intent. The blazing flames seemed to be able to burn through the world. Haotian, who killed you? Sister will definitely let the person who killed you suffer the most painful torture in the world. The woman spat out cold and ruthless killing intent. She raised her hand. There was a jade token in her palm. The words Wang Haotian were written on it. However, the jade token was already in pieces. That was Wang Haotian's life token. When the life token was broken, it meant that he was dead. There were other members of the Wang family cultivating in the volcanoes. At that moment, a voice was heard. What happened? Wang Haotian is going crazy. I don't know. Did something happen to Wang Haotian? It's not a small matter when a god-tier prodigy goes crazy. This is not something we can interfere with. Soon, the voice fell silent. Wang Haotian's figure flashed. Soon, she appeared in Wang Haotian's courtyard. After a while, Wang Haotian left Wang Haotian's courtyard and flew toward 100 Supremes Mountain. 100 Supremes Mountain, 100 Supremes Tower. Lu Ming looked up at the 9th floor. Suddenly, the 9 layers of light dimmed, and all of the light disappeared. Soon, the 100 Supremes Tower flashed. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin appeared in the air at the same time and descended. The gazes of the others all fell on them. How is it? Lu Ming asked. Of course, there won't be a problem with me taking action. Kong Jin grinned. Xian Yanqing also nodded. It was obvious that both of them had obtained the tokens. Alright, let's leave this place immediately and leave 100 Supremes Mountain. Lu Ming said. He did not know why, but he had a bad feeling in his heart. It was as if danger was about to befall them. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin nodded. The three of them turned into 3 rays of light and left the place. They quickly headed toward the exit. Soon, they exited the exit and flew toward the west. Their destination was the blood pool. Not long after they left, Wang Haotian arrived and rushed into 100 Supremes Mountain. Wang Haotian, the god-tier prodigy. Why is she here? An old man guarding the entrance asked in surprise. Below the 100 Supremes Tower, a few young men were still in shock. They were shocked that 2 of them had reached the 9th floor. They wondered if the 2 of them had obtained the tokens. Who were they? They were so powerful. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying pressure descended. A cold killing intent mixed with a blazing aura pressed down on their bodies. Their bodies trembled and they knelt on the ground. Chapter 803. Wang Haotian, the God-level genius. Someone recognized Wang Haotian and shouted in fear. The others were even more shocked. The 100 Supremes Mountain was just an ordinary cultivation sacred ground. God-level geniuses would not come here if they had a better place to cultivate. Why did Wang Haotian suddenly come here? They thought of Wang Haotian. Wang Haotian was Wang Haotian's sister. Earlier, they saw Lu Ming chasing after Wang Haotian. Later, Lu Ming changed his appearance and returned to the same place, leaving with the other 2 people who had passed the 9th floor. Could something have happened to Wang Haotian? Otherwise, why would Wang Haotian come here with killing intent? Lu Ming? Lu Ming? Suddenly, they remembered who the other 2 people were. Lu Ming had a few companions. One of them was a beautiful woman, and the other was a fat man. They were all people with terrifying talents. It was not difficult to guess who the other two people who had passed the 9th floor were. Tell me, did my brother, Wang Haotian, come here before? Did he have a conflict with anyone? Don't try to lie to me. Wang Haotian said coldly. The killing intent on her body became stronger and stronger. Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. Someone shouted. Wang Haotian came here before and fought with Lu Ming. In the end, Lu Ming chased after him and he fled this place. No one knows where he went. Another person also shouted. Lu Ming? Who's Lu Ming? What does he look like? Tell me in detail. Wang Haotian said coldly. I'll tell you. They came here to get a token to a higher sacred ground. He has 2 companions. One of them is a beautiful woman, and the other is a fat man with a battle axe. Immediately, one of the young men told Wang Haotian everything he knew. How dare you kill my brother? No one can save you. If you want to go to a high-tier sacred ground to cultivate, I'll kill you on the way. Wang Haotian's cold voice sounded, and her figure disappeared. The young men let out a long sigh of relief. Being beside Wang Haotian, the pressure was too great. It was as if they could be killed by her at any time. Lu Ming really killed Wang Haotian. This is really big news. No wonder Wang Haotian went crazy. Interesting. After that, the young men left the place. The news of Lu Ming possibly killing Wang Haotian and Wang Haotian chasing after Lu Ming had already spread out, causing a huge uproar in the 100 Supremes Mountain. In the outer circle of 9 Dragon City, 9 dragon veins circled around. In the middle, 3 dragon veins gathered together. They were all very far apart from each other. In these areas, there were many wonderful places. There were cultivation holy lands, secret realms, and dangerous forbidden areas. The 10,000 blood pool was located between the dragon vein in the east and the 3 dragon veins in the middle. After flying for a few hours, Lu Ming and the other 2 arrived at a vast mountain range. According to the jade talisman that Long Qianli gave me, the blood pool should be right in front of us. Lu Ming said. The 3 of them continued to fly forward. A huge mountain appeared in front of them. On top of the mountain, there was a bloody aura. On a cliff, there were 3 big words, 10,000 blood pool. Beside the 3 big words, there was a platform that protruded from the cliff. Behind it, there was a cave. On the platform, there were strong practitioners guarding it. This was the blood pool. Stop right there. Only those who are qualified can enter the 10,000 blood pool. When Lu Ming and the other 2 approached, a burly man stepped out. A terrifying aura spread out. He was definitely a strong practitioner who was above the spirit embryo realm. Senior, we have tokens. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Kong Jin flashed their tokens. The middle-aged burly man looked at them and nodded. It is indeed a token. You are qualified to enter the blood pool. However, you have to leave your aura here because each person can only enter the blood pool once. Lu Ming and the others nodded. This rule was also introduced in Long Qianli's jade talisman. Some high-grade cultivation sacred grounds had very strict restrictions. Each person could only enter the blood pool once and leave their aura here. If they came again in the future, they would be able to detect it. The 3 of them left their aura on a stone tablet. Go in. Remember, do what you can and don't die in there. Also, you only have half a month. You must come out after half a month. The middle-aged burly man instructed. Thank you, senior. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Then, the 3 of them walked into the cave. The middle-aged burly man continued to sit cross-legged at the side. The cave was very deep. After the 3 of them walked for 1,000 meters, the cave suddenly opened up. The inside of the mountain was empty. There was a huge blood pool. The blood pool was at least a few thousand meters long. It was filled with blood-red liquid. It looked like fresh blood, but there was no smell of blood. At this moment, Lu Ming felt a slight numbness coming from his spine. It was under the 9 Dragons bloodline and the suppressing prison monument bloodline. What a rich bloodline power! Kong Jin exclaimed. It is said that the blood pool is infinitely deep. No one knows where it leads to. The bloodline power surges out from the depths of the pool. It is very mysterious. Moreover, although the blood pool contains the power of bloodline, it also contains an ancient baleful aura and killing intent that is extremely powerful. The deeper we go, the more powerful it is. We have to be careful. Let's go down. Lu Ming said. You be careful too. Xian Yinqing whispered. The fatty nodded. Then, the 3 of them jumped into the 10,000 blood pool. Kill. Roar. After Lu Ming jumped into the blood pool, there were shocking roars from all directions. There were also the roars of ferocious beasts and demonic beasts. Endless killing intent rushed toward Lu Ming. This killing intent could affect one's mind. If it was strong enough, it could even destroy one's soul and wipe out one's life force. However, at the same time, the blood-red liquid in all directions contained powerful and majestic bloodline power. This liquid was not blood, nor was it blood essence. Instead, it was formed by the power of one's bloodline. There was a flash of red light at Lu Ming's spine, forming a vortex. The endless power of the bloodline in the surroundings was absorbed into the vortex and integrated into the spine. This bloodline power could be accumulated in his spine. The more it was accumulated, the higher the grade of the bloodline he would awaken in the future. Although Lu Ming had the 9 Dragons bloodline and could devour blood essence to improve, if his 3rd bloodline awakened to a higher grade, it would save him a lot of trouble in the future. Why not? The bloodline power here was not strong enough. Deeper. With a thought, Lu Ming went deeper into the pool. The deeper he went, the stronger the bloodline power. However, the killing intent in the surroundings were also stronger. Where did this bloodline energy come from? Where did the depths of the 10,000 blood pool lead to? There was actually bloodline energy gushing out unceasingly. Could it be that it led to a battlefield? Lu Ming let his imagination run wild. There were many mysterious places in the heavens and earth. Even martial dominator realm experts could not find the answers to some of them. Chapter 804. I don't know if Brother Jian can withstand it. Lu Ming muttered to himself and decided to release Kenfei Ryu so that he could absorb the bloodline power to recover. With a wave of his hand, Kenfei Ryu's figure appeared and floated in the air. Brother Jian's bloodline won't absorb the bloodline power around him. After a while, Lu Ming realized that Kenfei Ryu's spine would not absorb the bloodline power. Let me give him a hand. Lu Ming channeled his true origin and controlled the bloodline power to pour into Kenfei Ryu's spine. However, the bloodline power dissipated quickly and was not absorbed. How can this be? Could it be that Brother Jian is dying and has lost his consciousness and can't absorb the bloodline power? What should I do? Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anxiety. If he could not absorb the bloodline power, how could he save Kenfei Ryu? Lu Ming, let me do it. I have a way to let the bloodline power automatically seep into his spine. Although it's a little slow, it's more or less useful. Dandan appeared on Lu Ming's shoulder and said. Really? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Nonsense, what I know is not something you can imagine. When I fully recover, don't cry and beg me to be your master. Dandan said proudly. Dandan then flew in front of Kenfei Ryu and waved its claws continuously. Inscriptions entered Kenfei Ryu's body. Then, it waved its little claws and guided the bloodline power around Kenfei Ryu's spine, slowly seeping in. It's really useful. Lu Ming was relieved. What is this? Get lost. Just as Lu Ming was about to focus on absorbing the bloodline power, Dandan suddenly let out an angry cry. What's going on? Lu Ming was shocked. Lu Ming, something is invading Kenfei Ryu's body. I can sense it, but I can't stop it. Dandan shouted. What? Something? What's in the blood pool? Lu Ming was shocked. My cultivation is crippled and my bloodline is exhausted. I have to start anew. A loud laugh suddenly came from Kenfei Ryu's body. It was full of excitement. Lu Ming was shocked and shouted, Who are you? Get out of Brother Jian's body. Who am I? It's just a wisp of remnant soul. It was supposed to be an eternal slumber, but it was awakened by this brat. Jian Filiu's voice rang out again. At the same time, a blood-red light filled the air. Remnant soul? Are you trying to take over his body? SSSSSSSTS at this time, Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin also rushed over. Lu Ming, what's going on? Xian Yanqing asked. There's a remnant soul here that wants to possess you, Brother Jian. Lu Ming said. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin were both shocked. Possession? Little fellow, you really think too highly of me. All that's left of me is a wisp of remnant soul that can turn to ash at any moment. How can I possess someone? It's just that this little fellow is suitable to inherit my legacy. The voice from Kenfei Ryu's body sounded. How can I believe your words? Lu Ming's gaze was cold. Little guy, even if you don't believe me, you have to believe me. Haha. As the laughter rang out, Kenfei Ryu's body glowed with a bloody light as he suddenly plummeted rapidly. Stop. Lu Ming was greatly alarmed and chased after him. However, the resistance in the 10,000 blood pool was very strong. Lu Ming's speed was far slower than Kenfei Ryu's falling body. Lu Ming chased after him for 2,000 meters, but Kenfei Ryu's body was getting further and further down. Kill, kill. Endless murderous intent surged from all around. Lu Ming's face turned pale. The deeper he went, the more intense the surrounding murderous aura and murderous intent. Even with Lu Ming's wisdom, it was extremely difficult to withstand it. After a few more breaths, Kenfei Ryu's body completely disappeared, sinking into the endless 10,000 blood pool. Damn it! Lu Ming roared angrily. Lu Ming, this isn't your fault. Xian Yanqing swam over and said. Her face was also a little pale. The fatty also swam over, but he didn't say much. Lu Ming, maybe that voice is right. That's just a wisp of remnant soul that can't take over. Maybe it's really looking for a successor? Dandan frowned and said. Are you confident? Lu Ming asked. No. Dandan shook his head. Lu Ming wanted to throw Dandan out. Shao Qing, fatty, wait for me here. I'll go down and take a look. After saying that, Lu Ming continued to dive. The killing intent in the surroundings was getting stronger and stronger. The terrifying killing intent had already made Lu Ming's soul tremble. Lu Ming dived another 1,000 meters. The killing intent here had reached a terrifying level. Not only could it obliterate one's soul, but it could also obliterate one's physical body. Lu Ming felt a tearing pain in his body and a stabbing pain in his soul. Unfortunately, Kenfei Ryu's figure was still nowhere to be seen. Damn it! Lu Ming was somewhat unwilling, but he couldn't continue. If he did, he would be in danger. Helpless, Lu Ming could only go up. He never imagined that he would end up like this when he came to the blood pool to save Kenfei Ryu. He could only hope that Kenfei Ryu was fine. Lu Ming, this might be a fortuitous encounter for Kenfei Ryu. You don't have to blame yourself. Xian Yanqing advised. Lu Ming said, don't worry, I'm fine. Let's continue to accumulate bloodline power. The three of them went up and found a suitable place to absorb bloodline power. After getting used to it, they continued to dive. The deeper they went, the stronger the bloodline power became. Time passed day by day. The bloodline power accumulated in Lu Ming's spine grew stronger and stronger. A blood-red light flickered, as if something powerful was about to be born. Half a day after they entered the blood pool, Wang Haoxian also came to the blood pool. Wang Haoxian, you've already entered the blood pool and awakened a divine bloodline. The blood pool is already useless to you. Why are you still here? The middle-aged man opened his eyes and looked at Wang Haoxian. Senior, I'm here to ask you about a few people. There are 3 of them. One of them is a fatty, and the other is a beauty. Wang Haoxian described the appearances of Lu Ming's group. They entered the blood pool half a day ago. If you want to find them, you can only wait for them to come out. After saying that, the middle-aged man closed his eyes. They're really here. A cold murderous intent flashed in Wang Haoxian's eyes. He retreated and sat down cross-legged on another mountain dozens of miles away from the blood pool, waiting here. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. The time was up. They had to leave. The 3 of them rushed out of the blood pool and stood beside it. Lu Ming discovered that Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin's spines were emitting a shocking fluctuation, as if something was about to break out. However, after a while, the blood-red aura slowly withdrew, and the fluctuation in their spines slowly disappeared. It was the same for Lu Ming. His spine was concealed as well. Chapter 805. It was the same for Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin. Their 3rd bloodline had not awakened either. They had accumulated a lot of bloodline power, but they still had not awakened. Lu Ming looked at the blood pool and sighed softly. Then, he strode outside. There was still no news of Kenfei Ryu. It seemed that he had sunk into the endless depths of the blood pool. The 3 of them walked out of the cave, rose into the air, and flew toward the center of 9 dragons. Their next step was to go to another high-level cultivation sacred ground, the Sky Vault Legacy Grounds. It was said that there were many god-level prodigies cultivating there. The moment the 3 of them walked out of the cave, a figure shot into the sky dozens of miles away and chased after Lu Ming and the others. After flying for a few hundred miles, the trio suddenly stopped at the same time. This was because they realized that there was a cold murderous intent behind them that was spreading toward them. Whoosh! A purple light cut through the void and appeared in front of them in an instant. It was a beautiful woman, but her eyes were very cold. The murderous intent on her body was also very cold. She's from the Wang family. Lu Ming frowned. You're Lu Ming? Wang Haoxian's gaze fell on Lu Ming. That's right. Lu Ming said. His frown deepened. This was because he could sense an extremely dangerous aura from this lady. Very well. Did you kill my brother, Wang Haotian? Wang Haoxian said coldly. Wang Haotian is your brother? Lu Ming said. He suddenly remembered that before Wang Haotian died, he shouted that his sister would avenge him. Tell me, did you kill him? Wang Haoxian said sternly. Her murderous intent was even colder. Beauty, it's fine that I killed him, but your brother deserved it. If you want to avenge him, we'll accept it. Kong Jin said loudly. Good, very good. The 3 of you will be buried with my brother. Terrifying flames rose from Wang Haoxian's body, and a powerful aura erupted. Kill. Wang Haoxian was incomparably violent. He punched out, and a fiery fist light bombarded towards Lu Ming. In the sky, it directly burned a vacuum passage. Lu Ming's pupils shrank. This punch gave him a lot of pressure. Without the slightest hesitation, Lu Ming erupted with his full strength, circulating the suppressing hell heavenly art, and punched out. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion rang out. Lu Ming felt an unparalleled force rushing towards him. His body retreated rapidly as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Sizzle, at the same time, there was a terrifying flame burning on his fist, and a burnt smell wafted out. Lu Ming erupted with 4 different concepts in true essence, resisting with all his strength. Only then was he able to block the burning flames. So strong. Lu Ming was shocked. With Lu Ming's current combat strength, he was actually injured by the other party in one move. The other party's combat strength was terrifying to the extreme. Peak of the 5th layer of the spiritual C tier. This was the cultivation that Wang Haoxian displayed. But Lu Ming firmly believed that ordinary 5th layer spirit C realm geniuses would never have such strong combat strength to completely crush him. Die. Wang Haoxian's eyes were cold, and he continued to attack Lu Ming. Don't even think about it. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin attacked at the same time. Xian Yanqing pressed his hands, and the sky demon power field erupted. The destructive cutting power rushed towards Wang Haoxian crazily. And Kong Jin, carrying the battle axe, rushed into the sky demon power field. The battle axe seemed to be able to split the sky as it chopped towards Wang Haoxian. Watch out! Lu Ming exclaimed. Wang Haoxian didn't even look, and directly punched out towards Kong Jin's battle axe. Dang! The punch hit the battle axe, and a loud sound like a bell rang out. The fatty screamed, and his body retreated rapidly. His fat body trembled crazily, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with shock. Boom! Then, Wang Haoxian's delicate body shook, and purple flames spread out, burning Xian Yanqing's destructive cutting power. Yes, even the destructive cutting power was burned away. Then, he punched out, and the roaring flame fist radiance was aimed at Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing's face changed, and he used the sky demon hand. A beautiful arm formed and blasted towards Wang Haoxian's fist radiance. Boom! The result was the same as before. Xian Yanqing was sent flying back, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Although Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin had broken through to the 3rd layer of the Spirit Sea realm, they were still crushed. Let's attack together. He's a god-level genius. Lu Ming flashed over and stood side by side with Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin, looking extremely serious. He thought of a person on the list of top 1,000 talents. Wang Haoxian, a god-level genius ranked 293rd on the list of top 1,000 talents. Her name was so close to Wang Haoxian's, so she should be Wang Haoxian's sister. Kill. Wang Haoxian was very domineering. Her body was covered in purple flames as she stepped forward. Sky Demon Force Field, Destructive Cutting. Xian Yanqing shouted and pressed her hand, and the destructive cutting power enveloped Wang Haoxian. At the same time, Lu Ming and Kong Jin rushed into the Sky Demon Force Field and attacked Wang Haoxian together. Four-colored wills intertwined, and the battle dragon's genuine origin was completely unleashed. His spiritual sea was boiling, and a powerful devouring power burst out from his left palm, enveloping Wang Haoxian. Kong Jin roared, and his fat body swelled again. The earth wills and shattering wills merged and burst out, destroying everything. His battle axe turned into a black light and chopped at Wang Haoxian. At the same time, Xian Yanqing used the Sky Demon Lotus. A black lotus appeared, and the petals of the lotus were like the sharpest weapons, attacking Wang Haoxian. At this moment, the three of them used their strongest attacks at the same time. They dared to not be careless in the face of a god-level genius. Sunset Heavenly Fist. Wang Haoxian's fists glowed, and flames burned as she punched out 3 times in a row. With one punch, Xian Yanqing's lotus was shattered, and the destructive cutting force field collapsed. Xian Yanqing's body trembled, and she retreated madly, blood flowing out of her mouth. With another punch, Kong Jin was sent flying, and the battle axe in his hand trembled non-stop. Especially the fat guy's arm, where blue veins popped out and blood seeped out. Even his palm was deformed. Lu Ming was slightly better, but he was also sent flying 1,000 meters. He spat out a mouthful of blood and felt a sharp pain in his palm, almost breaking his bones. Strong, too strong. The three of them were still injured in an instant. Wang Haoxian had almost no weaknesses. Compared to Wang Haoxian, Lu Ming had almost no advantage in any aspect. First of all, his cultivation base was 3 levels lower than Wang Haoxian. Lu Ming had a god-level bloodline, and so did Wang Haoxian. Lu Ming had the suppressing hell art, a demigod bloodline martial skill, and Wang Haoxian had also mastered a demigod bloodline martial skill. It was said that any bloodline martial skill comprehended from a god-level bloodline would be at least demigod level. Moreover, Wang Haoxian's martial skill was also a god-level martial skill, the Burning Sky Art. The Burning Sky Art's temperature was too high, and it could burn everything. To fight against it, one had to use a large amount of true yuan to resist its burning power. In terms of mentality, Wang Haoxian's mentality of heaven and earth evolved from the mentality of fire. It was extremely powerful, and it had reached the peak of level 2. Although Lu Ming had comprehended 4 mentalities, they were too low level. Even if he used 4 mentalities, he would not be much stronger than Wang Haoxian. Lu Ming's only advantage was that he had cultivated the Super Spirit Sea secret technique, and his true yuan was abundant. His god-level martial skill was also more mature than Wang Haoxian's, and his mentality was a bit stronger. These could make up for the gap of 1 level. However, Wang Haoxian's cultivation base was 3 levels higher than Lu Ming's. Therefore, there was still a 2-level gap between Lu Ming and Wang Haoxian. Chapter 806. Your combat strength is not bad. No wonder my brother died in your hands. But against me, you won't stand a chance. Die. Wang Haoxian's cold voice was filled with killing intent. Boom. The prison-suppressing steel appeared above Lu Ming's head. The golden chakra emitted a dazzling golden light. Wang Haoxian's pupils shrank as she said coldly, "So you have awakened a god-grade bloodline. All the more reason to kill you." As soon as her voice fell, a purple flame appeared above Wang Haoxian's head. As soon as the purple flame appeared, the surrounding space turned into a black zone. It was a phenomenon that even space was about to be burned through. At the same time, a golden chakra surrounded the purple flame, shining brightly. Level 1 God-grade bloodline. In the next moment, the purple flame twisted and turned into a purple firebird. It let out a cry. Wang Haoxian's body turned into a ray of light and rushed into the purple firebird. The purple firebird flapped its wings and turned into a purple light, pouncing towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming also merged with his bloodline. The prison-suppressing steel shook as if it could suppress everything. It suppressed the firebird that Wang Haoxian transformed into. The purple firebird clawed at the prison-suppressing steel. Boom! There was a loud explosion as a force shot towards the ground. 2 mountains exploded and turned into ashes. Similarly, a wisp of flame fell and burned a mountain into ashes. The space shook and the prison-suppressing steel was sent flying like a meteor. It flew back a few thousand meters in an instant. In the process of flying, the prison-suppressing steel turned back into Lu Ming's body and vomited blood. The terrifying thing was that the blood that he vomited immediately burned fiercely. Lu Ming's body was invaded by a powerful flame. It was as if his body was about to be burned into ashes. Bang! His retreating body crashed into a mountain. The mountain exploded and Lu Ming fell among the rubble. Wang Haoxian was too strong. The gap between Lu Ming and her was unbridgeable. Lu Ming! Xian Yanqing exclaimed and was extremely worried. You should worry about yourself first. The purple firebird spoke and turned into a ray of light, pouncing towards Xian Yanqing. Be careful. Empty entry was now in front of Xian Yanqing, and a huge shield appeared in his hand, blocking in front of him. Wang Haoxian's claw slammed into the shield, causing it to shatter. Kong Jin let out a miserable shriek as his body was sent flying far away. Wang Haoxian continued to grab Xian Yanqing. A bronze mirror appeared in front of Xian Yanqing. The bronze mirror emitted a green light. Clang! Wang Haoxian's claw landed on the bronze mirror, causing it to tremble violently. It let out a wailing sound as it flew into Xian Yanqing's forehead. As for Xian Yanqing, he was sent flying far away. The firebird cried out, wanting to continue attacking. Bang! Gravel flew everywhere and Lu Ming dashed out from the rubble. There was lightning flowing in the area between his eyebrows. If you're not dead yet, I'll kill you first," Wang Haoxian said in a cold voice. He flapped his wings and rushed towards Lu Ming. Clang! A melodious sound rang out. A lightning cauldron flew out from Lu Ming's forehead. It grew rapidly until it was as big as a mountain and suppressed Wang Haoxian. The lightning cauldron's power was boundless. By the time Wang Haoxian realized that something was wrong and wanted to dodge, it was already too late. Boom! The huge lightning cauldron slammed into the firebird. The firebird that Wang Haoxian had transformed into was instantly shattered, turning into wisps of purple flames that drifted in all directions. After the lightning cauldron attacked, it shrunk rapidly and flew back into Lu Ming's forehead. Lu Ming's face was pale as he spat out a mouthful of blood. He couldn't control his body and fell. Fortunately, Dandan caught him. Swish! Swish! Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin flew over. However, their breathing was chaotic and they were heavily injured. "Are you all right?" Xian Yanqing supported Lu Ming and asked worriedly. "I'm fine." Lu Ming nodded. After using the lightning cauldron, his Jin Yuan was extracted and his lifespan was reduced by 50 years. His body was extremely weak. "Look!" Kong Jin suddenly exclaimed. Lu Ming and the others looked forward and saw that the purple flames that were scattered by the lightning cauldron had reformed in the air. The next moment, the flames turned into Wang Haoxian's body. Wang Haoxian didn't die under the lightning cauldron's attack. However, Wang Haoxian was also severely injured. She coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood. Her face was extremely pale and her breathing was extremely weak. Kong Jin stepped forward, holding a battle axe and staring at Wang Haoxian. If they wanted to fight, they could only risk their lives. However, Wang Haoxian only looked at them coldly and said in a cold voice, "I won't let you off." After saying that, he turned into a ray of fire and flew into the distance. He retreated. "Let's leave this place quickly and find a place to heal. Wang Haoxian won't let this go," Lu Ming said. He could see the bone-deep killing intent in Wang Haoxian's eyes. Wang Haoxian must have retreated temporarily to find a place to heal. Once her injuries were healed, she would definitely chase after them. Therefore, they also had to find a place to heal their injuries. If Wang Haoxian's injuries were not healed, it would be even more difficult for them. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin supported Lu Ming and flew into the distance. They landed 10,000 miles away. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin were also very seriously injured. If they continued to fly, they would not be able to hold on for long. They planned to heal their injuries here. In a cave, the three of them sat cross-legged. Lu Ming ran the battle strength scripture with all his strength. Half a day later, he cultivated a new wisp of vital essence. With a wisp of vital essence, Lu Ming began to devour spirit crystals to quickly replenish his vital essence. At the same time, Lu Ming also needed to circulate his vital essence to heal his injured body. After another half a day, Lu Ming had only recovered half of his vital essence. His injuries had basically stabilized and there was no major problem. However, he had lost 50 years of his life, which was a serious loss of life essence. This could not be replenished. At this time, Lu Ming stopped recovering, got up, and walked out of the cave. There was no time. A day had passed, and Wang Haoxian could catch up at any time. He had to prepare early. Walking out of the cave, Lu Ming began to inscribe inscription formations around him. Inscriptions sank into the ground one by one. Lu Ming continued inscribing for half a day and inscribed a dozen formations in total. Lu Ming. Lu Ming. At this time, Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin walked out of the cave. Although the two of them had not fully recovered, at least they had stabilized and had a certain combat strength. "We'll wait here for Wang Haoxian," Lu Ming said. As soon as he finished speaking, he looked at the distant sky. A flame streaked across the void. Wang Haoxian was coming. He was so fast. Whoosh! Wang Haoxian appeared above their heads. You have my flame aura on you. As long as you don't get rid of it, you can forget about escaping from me. Wang Haoxian's killing intent became even stronger. A genius like her, whose cultivation was far above Lu Ming and the others, was not injured by Lu Ming. In her opinion, this was a great humiliation. You're just relying on your cultivation. Give me another half a year, and I'll kill you. Chapter 807. Having a high cultivation base is a sign of talent. Only those with low cultivation bases would say such useless things. Kill. Wang Haoxian was very decisive. As soon as she finished speaking, she pounced on Lu Ming and the others. Retreat. Lu Ming shouted and retreated quickly with Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin. You can't escape. Wang Haoxian landed and strode forward. Is that so? There was a cold smile at the corners of Lu Ming's lips. He took a step forward and densely packed inscriptions suddenly appeared on the ground. Many large arrays appeared. Sword chi swept out, sabers whistled, and vines wrapped around them as they pounced on Wang Haoxian. You set up an inscription array here. Wang Haoxian roared and directly used bloodline fusion. She turned into a purple flame and rampaged in the array. Let's go quickly. Wang Haoxian is too strong, and her bloodline is nature type. After using bloodline fusion, it's extremely difficult to kill her. My inscription array probably won't be able to kill her. Lu Ming whispered. He, Xian Yanqing, and Kong Jin rose into the air and flew into the distance. Lu Ming had just broken through to the 6th level of inscription. It only took him half a day to inscribe an inscription array, and he couldn't kill Wang Haoxian. Lu Ming knew very well that Wang Haoxian could survive the Thunder Cauldron's attack because her vitality was too strong. This was the advantage of nature-type bloodlines. Lu Ming had just lost 50 years of his life. It was difficult for him to control the Thunder Cauldron and launch a second attack. If he forced himself to launch the attack, he would lose a lot of vitality in a short time. It would definitely affect his future cultivation and even his foundation. It would be difficult for him to improve in the future. The only thing he could do now was to trap Wang Haoxian and then retreat. The three of them flew in the direction of 9 dragons. Soon, they had covered a distance of 100,000 miles. Little Qin, Fatty, you two go to the Sky Vault Legacy grounds first. Lu Ming suddenly said. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin were slightly stunned. Lu Ming, what are you trying to do? You want to deal with Wang Haoxian alone? No way. Xian Yanqing could tell what was on Lu Ming's mind at one glance and rejected him flatly. That's right. That crazy woman is too strong. If you stay here alone, you'll just be throwing your life away. If you want to fight, let's fight together. Kong Jin said. Don't worry, I won't fight her recklessly. Her target is me, so I'll draw them away. You guys go to the Sky Vault ruins. We'll meet at the Sea Cloud sect in half a year. Lu Ming said. No, I won't agree. Xian Yanqing shook his head firmly. Listen to me. My inscription formation can't trap Wang Haoxian for too long. She will catch up with us soon. If it goes on like this, we will die in her hands sooner or later. Don't worry. I alone am 100% sure that I can get rid of Wang Haoxian. Lu Ming said. No. Xian Yanqing still shook his head. Fatty. Lu Ming looked at Kong Jin. Are you really 100% sure? Kong Jin asked. I'm 100% sure, but if the three of us work together, it won't even be 10%. Little Qin, listen to me. Lu Ming said. No, I want to follow you. Don't try to lie to me. Xian Yanqing said stubbornly. Lu Ming was speechless. He sighed and said, well, Fatty, you go first. Little Qin and I will draw Wang Haoxian away. After saying that, Lu Ming walked over and took Xian Yanqing's little hand. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly made a move. He stretched out his hand and tapped on Xian Yanqing's body a few times. Xian Yanqing did not expect Lu Ming to suddenly attack her. She was caught off guard. At this moment, her body slumped to the ground and she fell into a coma. Lu Ming supported Xian Yanqing and said to Kong Jin, "Fatty, take little Qing to the Sky Vault ruins." Kong Jin was dumbfounded. "Hurry up. Don't worry, I'll be fine. It's just that this girl's temper is too stubborn, so I can only do this. She will wake up soon." Lu Ming looked at Fatty with bright eyes. "All right, then take care." Kong Jin sighed. This was the only way now. He also knew that it would be difficult for the three of them to escape Wang Haoxian's pursuit. Lu Ming might be able to do it alone. "Lu Ming, if you don't come, I'll see you at the Sea Cloud sect in half a year." Fatty's true essence rolled up Xian Yanqing and quickly flew away. His voice came from afar. Lu Ming landed and sat cross-legged on a mountain peak. He continued to devour spirit crystals to recover his true essence. The 9 dragons' bloodline crazily devoured the spirit crystals. His true essence was quickly recovering. 60%, 70%, 80%. 2 hours later, Lu Ming's true essence had recovered to 80%. At this time, a purple light flashed in the distance. Wang Haoxian's figure appeared in the air. At this time, her breath was a little chaotic and her face was a little pale. Obviously, she had paid a price to break out of those large arrays. "You're alone. You want to hold me back and let the other 2 escape. What a good plan. However, I'll kill you soon, and then I'll kill the other 2. Wang Haoxian sneered. "Oh, come and kill me if you can." Lu Ming smiled. "Humph." Wang Haoxian snorted, but she did not land. She was afraid that Lu Ming would inscribe an inscription array below. "I won't go down. I'll kill you all the same." Wang Haoxian sneered and waved her fists. The roaring flame fist burst out and attacked Lu Ming. Lu Ming turned and left. He used the 9 dragons in the sky and chose a different direction from Xian Yanqing and strode away. "You want to leave? Not so easy." Wang Haoxian turned into a fiery light and continued to chase Lu Ming. Wang Haoxian's movement technique was not to be underestimated. Her speed was extremely fast. Although Lu Ming used the 9 dragons in the sky, he could only take 4 steps in a row. His level was still a little low. Although he had extreme speed, it was only comparable to Wang Haoxian's. The 2 of them, one chasing and one escaping, were far away in the blink of an eye. Soon, the 2 of them had flown a distance of a few million miles. Wang Haoxian was still hot on Lu Ming's tail. "Hey, beauty, you want to catch me so badly? I already have a sweetheart." Lu Ming shouted as he used the 9 dragons in the sky. "You're courting death." Wang Haoxian shouted angrily. Along the way, as Lu Ming fled, he did not forget to use various words to attack her. She was so angry that her lungs almost exploded. Her murderous intent toward Lu Ming intensified. "This woman is too damn difficult to deal with." Lu Ming gritted his teeth and continued flying. In front of him, a boundless mountain forest appeared in front of him. The trees in this forest were exceptionally tall. Strangely, the trees were all black. Even the leaves were black. It was extremely strange. As he approached the forest, he could hear thunderous roars from the forest. The roars of monsters were full of ferocity. Lu Ming rushed in without hesitation. As soon as he rushed in, Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. He felt that his body seemed to be more than 10 times heavier. There was a kind of pressure between heaven and earth that was pressing down on him, greatly reducing his speed. At least 10 times slower. But now, he could only try his best to move forward. Chapter 808. What is this place? Lu Ming's mind spun rapidly as he moved forward. Roar! Before he could fly far, a black tiger-shaped beast rushed out from below and pounced at him. This tiger-shaped beast was hairless, but it was covered in black scales. Its eyes were blood red, and there was no sign of intelligence. Instead, it was filled with savagery. The wind howled. This tiger-shaped beast had the battle prowess of a peak king. Lu Ming took a step forward, and a trace of power burst out. This tiger-shaped beast was directly blasted down, falling to the ground below, causing debris to fly everywhere. Lu Ming's speed did not slow down at all as he moved forward rapidly. Behind him, Wang Haoxian chased closely. However, in this forest, the two's speed was much slower. Moreover, there were fierce beasts pouncing at the two from time to time, causing them to be unable to fly at full speed. Moreover, the deeper they flew, the higher the level of the fierce beasts that appeared. In the beginning, the beasts that appeared were all peak king level beasts. Towards the end, the beasts that appeared were equivalent to the first and second layer of the spiritual sea realm. These beasts did not have any intelligence, and were filled with savagery. When they saw them, they would pounce at them. The two chased and fled. After half a day, they had only flown tens of thousands of miles. This forest was boundless, and they were still in the forest. Mad Beast Forest. Lu Ming, you've come to the Mad Beast Forest? Suddenly, a voice sounded in Lu Ming's mind. This voice was not Dandan's, but Supreme Nine Sons. Senior Nine Sons. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Ever since he saw Yaozong in the underground world, Supreme Nine Sons had woken up once, and then he continued to sleep. He did not expect to wake up now. Senior Nine Sons, is this called the Mad Beast Forest? Lu Ming communicated with Supreme Nine Sons. You should have arrived at Nine Dragon City, right? This should be the Mad Beast Forest. I left something here back then, and it resonated with me. That's why I woke up from my sleep. Supreme Nine Sons' voice sounded in Lu Ming's mind. He continued, looks like you're being chased. Being chased by a crazy woman. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. How about this, you can hide in the Temple of Paragon for a while. Supreme Nine Yang said. Entering the Temple of Paragon? Lu Ming was stunned. In the past, Supreme Master Jiao Yang had set up restrictions in the Temple of Paragon so that he wouldn't be able to enter the Temple of Paragon when he was in danger. His goal had been to train him, but now, he had taken the initiative to let him enter the Temple of Paragon. As if he had seen Lu Ming's confusion, Supremacy Jiao Yang said, in the past, I just wanted to train you. I didn't want you to rely too much on the Temple of Paragon. If you were in danger, you would hide in the Temple of Paragon. That way, you wouldn't be as strong as you used to be. You would lose the opportunity to train yourself. But now, your cultivation level isn't bad. You've experienced a lot and gained a lot of experience. Your martial heart is stable. So, this kind of restriction doesn't mean anything to you. In the future, you can enter the Temple of Paragon whenever you want. You can also let other people in. Supreme Nine Yang explained. Lu Ming nodded. He was overjoyed. There were no restrictions in the Temple of Paragon, and he could bring other people in. That would be very useful to him. Lu Ming, don't be happy too early. The Temple of Paragon was my weapon back then. After you entered the Temple of Paragon just disappeared into the void. So, other people can't see it. However, your cultivation level isn't weak now. The enemies you meet in the future will be stronger. Spiritual embryo realm cultivators can sense the void. Even if you hide in the Temple of Paragon, you'll be discovered and forced out. On the other hand, domain enlightened spirit gods are even capable of tearing space apart at will. So, hiding in the Temple of Paragon when encountering such an expert would only be like catching a turtle in a jar and falling into a passive state. So, one's own strength is the way to go. Supreme Nine Yang reminded him seriously. I understand. Lu Ming nodded. However, Lu Ming didn't plan to hide in the Temple of Paragon now. Only half a day had passed. If he hid in the Temple of Paragon now and Wang Haoxian couldn't find him, she might go after Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin. Lu Ming planned to delay Wang Haoxian. After a few days, Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin would refine all the fire aura Wang Haoxian had left on them. After entering the Sky Vault ruins, it would be difficult for Wang Haoxian to find Xian Yanqing and the others. It would be almost impossible. Only then would Lu Ming be at ease. So, Lu Ming didn't enter the Temple of Paragon. Instead, he dragged Wang Haoxian and continued flying in the wild beast forest. As they flew, Lu Ming talked to Supreme Nine Yang. Senior Nine Yang, why is this forest so strange? Not only is there a lot of pressure here, even the demonic beasts don't have intelligence and are extremely fierce. Lu Ming asked curiously. Normally, King Realm demonic beasts could speak, and Sea of Soul Realm demonic beasts could transform into human form. However, along the way, Lu Ming had already met a lot of Sea of Soul Realm demonic beasts. Not to mention transforming into human form, none of them could even speak. There are many strange places in the world, and the wild beast forest is one of them. Legend has it that a long time ago, the blood of a peerless expert was scattered here, covering a radius of 1,000,000 miles. The blood contained the murderous aura, resentment, and murderous aura of a peerless expert. The blood turned this place into a forbidden land, and the earth's structure changed. It was filled with a strange energy field that suppressed any living being that entered. At the same time, the demonic beasts here were affected by the murderous aura, resentment, and murderous aura in the blood and became extremely fierce. They lost their intelligence and became ferocious demonic beasts that only know how to kill. That's why it's called the Wild Beast Forest. Supreme Nine Yang explained. Lu Ming understood, but he was shocked. This place was actually caused by the blood of a peerless expert. The blood covered a radius of 1,000,000 miles and changed the earth's structure. In the endless years to come, the demonic beasts would be affected by the murderous aura and become wild beasts. How powerful was that? What kind of realm was that? It was impossible for a martial emperor expert to do that. It was definitely an existence that surpassed the martial emperor realm. But now, was there such a powerful existence in the world? In the divine wilderness continent, martial emperors were revered, and martial emperors were synonymous with invincibility. They were the strongest experts. Perhaps, there were existences that surpassed the martial emperor realm outside the divine wilderness continent? He thought of the autumn moon. It was very likely that the autumn moon had been taken away by the experts outside the divine wilderness continent. Lu Ming, I built a temporary cave in the wild beast forest and left many things inside. They should be of great help to you. Supreme Nine Yang spoke again, which made Lu Ming's heart beat faster. Who was Supreme Nine Yang? He was a martial emperor, the strongest expert below the martial emperor realm. He was at the peak of the spiritual god realm. How shocking would the things he left behind be? Chapter 809. Everyone had plans to leave a way out for themselves. Paragon Nine's sons was no exception. Before his accident, he had left behind a few hidden caves in various places. There was one in the wild beast forest. Apart from Supreme Nine Yang himself, no one else knew about this secret cave. He had woken up from his slumber when he was near Supreme Nine Yang's cave. Supreme Nine Yang told Lu Ming the approximate location. I'll go in 2 days. I'll delay Wang Haoxian for a few days. Lu Ming thought. For the next 3 days, Lu Ming didn't go deep into the wild beast forest. He led Wang Haoxian around the forest. After 3 days, their speeds were about the same. Lu Ming couldn't shake Wang Haoxian off, and Wang Haoxian couldn't catch up with Lu Ming. I don't believe that your true origin energy is stronger than mine. Wang Haoxian screamed. She was so angry that her eyes were burning. It had been 3 days. She had chased Lu Ming for 3 days. Her killing intent towards Lu Ming hadn't lessened. Instead, it had intensified. It's about time to shake her off. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It had been almost 4 days. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin should have already refined the flame aura left by Wang Haoxian and entered the Sky Archipelago. Lu Ming planned to shake Wang Haoxian off and head to Supreme Nine Yang's cave. Whoosh! Lu Ming took a few steps forward and flew forward rapidly. A lake appeared in front of him. Lu Ming dashed into the lake and entered the Temple of Paragon with a single thought. It's not that easy to escape from the bottom of the lake. The next moment, Wang Haoxian caught up with Lu Ming and struck him with his palm. Scorching flames spread out and the entire lake evaporated instantly. There was endless fog between heaven and earth. All that was left was the dry bottom of the lake, and Lu Ming had disappeared without a trace. Damn it! Did he escape from the ground? Don't even think about it. Wang Haoxian roared and punched out. The ground cracked, and rocks and dirt flew everywhere. However, Lu Ming was nowhere to be seen. Wang Haoxian went crazy and began to search the surroundings. Lu Ming was too lazy to care about all of this. He started devouring spiritual crystals in the Temple of Paragon to recover. 2 days later, Lu Ming's cultivation had completely recovered, and he was back to his peak condition. At this moment, he left the Temple of Paragon. Wang Haoxian had already disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming quickly headed in the direction that Supreme Nine Yang had mentioned. After flying for thousands of miles, Lu Ming suddenly rushed into the forest below. With a wave of his hands, the inscription formation to restrain his aura appeared on his body and completely restrained his aura. Soon, he saw Wang Haoxian flying in the sky with a gloomy face. This woman really wouldn't give up until she was dead. After that, Lu Ming didn't fly in the sky anymore. Instead, he shuttled through the forest. With the inscription formation to restrain his aura, he could easily avoid the demonic beasts. Lu Ming's speed was still very fast. An hour later, Lu Ming ran for thousands of miles and appeared at the bottom of a huge cliff. Senior Nine Yang, the entrance to the cave you mentioned is on the cliff? Why didn't I find it? Lu Ming asked. There's a mark on the cliff. The entrance is there. Supreme Nine Yang's voice sounded. Lu Ming walked over. True enough, there was a notch on one of the cliff walls. Lu Ming observed it carefully and pushed it with his hand, but it didn't move at all. It didn't seem like there was an entrance. Similarly, Lu Ming didn't find any traces of inscriptions. Lu Ming, I've set up an array that alternates between illusion and reality here. This array is extremely mysterious. If you treat this place as something substantial, it will be substantial. If you think of it as an illusion in your heart, then this cliff doesn't exist. It will be an illusion. When you take a step forward, you will naturally enter the cave abode. Supreme Nine Yang said. It's actually an array. Lu Ming exclaimed. This array was very advanced. Even Lu Ming didn't know how to use it now. Setting up such an array to protect the cave could be said to be foolproof. For example, if you set up an array at the entrance of a cave, this array would make the cave and the surrounding environment look exactly the same. When ordinary people saw it, they would only think that it was a mountain. Even if they walked over, they would feel that it was a mountain. However, if you thought that this place was a cave, you would be able to enter the cave if you walked over. It was extremely mysterious. Therefore, even if people came here over the years, they wouldn't stare at a cliff and think that it was a cave and that it was an entrance, unless they knew about it. Moreover, the inscription array could perfectly integrate with the surrounding environment. It was very difficult to sense the existence of inscriptions. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Then, he strode toward the cliff. Just as he was about to hit his head on the cliff, he saw that the cliff seemed to be empty. Lu Ming's body simply disappeared from the cliff. Lu Ming stepped in and discovered that he had appeared in a huge cave abode. The cave was quite big, but it was very simple. There was only a stone bed, a stone table, and a few stone stools. On the table, there was a jade box, and in the jade box, there were a few storage rings. In the innermost part of the cave, there were 2 small trees. The trees were as tall as a person. The leaves were dark green and emitted a strange aura. On the small trees, there were a few fruits. The soul-consolidating tree really bore fruit. Supreme Nine Yang's figure appeared. Looking at the 2 little trees, he let out a look of joy. Soul-consolidating tree? Lu Ming was a little puzzled. The soul-consolidating tree and the soul-consolidating fruit are very helpful to the spirit god and even the soul. I got them by accident and planted them here. I didn't expect them to bear fruit. With these 2 soul-consolidating trees and the soul-consolidating fruit, I can recover part of my soul power. Supreme Nine Yang explained. Congratulations, Senior. Lu Ming was also overjoyed. He also hoped that Supreme Nine Yang could recover. Lu Ming, during this period of time, I will recuperate under the soul-consolidating tree. I reckon it will take some time. In those storage rings, there are some things that I left here back then. Although there are no peerless treasures, they should be useful to you. After Supreme Nine Yang finished speaking, he flew to the 2 soul-consolidating trees and plucked a fruit. He held it in his hand and sat down cross-legged. Lu Ming sized it up and walked to the stone table. He picked up one of the storage rings and sank his consciousness into it. In the next moment, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The storage ring was full of spirit weapons and all kinds of refining materials. Among them, most of the spirit weapons were of the 6th grade. There were also 7th grade and even 8th grade spirit weapons. Shocking, too shocking. One had to know that the full power of a 7th grade spirit weapon could only be unleashed by someone in the spirit embryo realm. As for 8th grade spirit weapons, they could only be unleashed by someone in the spirit god realm. Not only did the storage ring have them, there were also quite a few of them. As for those crafting materials, they were all rare materials. If these spirit weapons and refining materials were taken out, their value would be immeasurable. Lu Ming put them away happily. Chapter 8:10. The second storage ring was filled with elixirs, various spiritual herbs, and spiritual herbs. All of them were of high grade. There were grade 6, grade 7, and even grade 8 elixirs. All of them were stored in jade boxes and sealed with an array to prevent their spiritual essence from leaking out. Lu Ming's saliva almost flowed out of his mouth. He hurriedly looked at the 3rd storage ring. There were a total of 3 storage rings here. The 3rd storage ring contained some miscellaneous items. Lu Ming's gaze was immediately attracted by the pile of raw stones that resembled a mountain. Yes, raw stones piled up like a mountain. He didn't know how many there were. On the other side, there were large metal boxes. When he opened them, they were filled with esoteric crystals. There were all kinds of esoteric crystals, and all of them were mid-grade esoteric crystals. There were more than 100,000 of them. More than 100,000 mid-grade esoteric crystals. What kind of concept was that? Lu Ming's heart thumped loudly. Rich, really rich. Supreme Nine Sons indeed. Supreme Nine Sons said that there were no treasures, but in Lu Ming's eyes, they were all treasures. How long would these resources be enough for Lu Ming? Senior Nine Sons, I will definitely make good use of these resources. Lu Ming said in his heart. Then, his consciousness sank into the storage ring filled with elixirs and spiritual herbs, carefully inspecting them. This is Xiantian origin liquid. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. He found 2 large jade bottles filled with Xiantian origin liquid. Moreover, they were all high-grade Xiantian origin liquid. Each bottle weighed at least 100 jin. In total, there were 200 jin of Xiantian origin liquid. This was a supreme spiritual liquid for cultivating one's physical body. This is Mother Spring water. Lu Ming recognized a treasure in the other jade bottle. Mother Spring water was a kind of spiritual liquid that was even more precious than high-grade Xiantian origin liquid. This Mother Spring water is perfect for nurturing the Enlightenment ancient tree. With a thought from Lu Ming, the Enlightenment Ancient Tree appeared on the ground. Lu Ming took out the Mother of Water Spirit Spring and poured the entire bottle onto the profound yellow silicon soil. Lu Ming was looking forward to seeing if the Tao Comprehension Ancient Tree could grow with this bottle of Mother Spring water. Then, he put the Enlightenment Ancient Tree into the Temple of Paragon. Then, he looked at it in his storage ring. Green lotus fruit, snake flower, underworldine grass. Lu Ming looked at the spiritual grasses one by one. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. With a flick of his wrist, a jade box appeared in his hand. It's actually underworldine grass. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up into a sneer. He recalled a type of medicine called dark Yin powder. He had learned about this medicine when he refined the spiritual fire of the seven-colored Taoist. The netherworld Yin powder was specifically used to deal with women. As long as a woman breathed in even a little bit, she would lose all strength and be unable to circulate her Jin Yuan. She would be at the mercy of others. The main ingredient of the netherworld Yin powder was the underworld Yin grass. Originally, Lu Ming wasn't interested in this kind of medicine. However, when he saw the underworld Yin grass, he thought of Wang Haoxian. Didn't Wang Haoxian want to kill him? Then, he would let her have a taste of the underworld Yin grass. Immediately, Lu Ming selected a few supplementary herbs and began to refine the netherworld Yin powder. 2 hours later, Lu Ming successfully refined the netherworld Yin powder. Wang Haoxian, I hope you haven't left yet. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He then left the cave and appeared outside the cliff. Then, Lu Ming flew into the sky. Now, he wanted to take the initiative to look for Wang Haoxian. Lu Ming flew quickly in the sky and circled around the area. More than an hour later, Lu Ming's eyes moved. In front of him, a fiery light flashed rapidly. It was Wang Haoxian. Lu Ming, I finally found you. Wang Haoxian screamed. Her face was hideous. She was obviously beautiful, but at this moment, there was no sense of beauty at all. Wang Haoxian, you've been chasing me for a few days. Do you miss me so much? Why don't you forget about your brother's revenge and be my concubine? Lu Ming chuckled and deliberately provoked Wang Haoxian. You're courting death. Wang Haoxian shouted angrily and rushed over quickly. She didn't think much about why Lu Ming didn't run away. She was furious now. I, Lu Ming, am a genius. It won't be a disgrace for you to be my concubine. Lu Ming continued to provoke Wang Haoxian. Sure enough, Wang Haoxian was even angrier. She pounced on Lu Ming in an instant and threw a punch at him. It was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming performed the hell-suppressing heaven skill and struck out with his palm. In this palm, a wisp of underworld Yin powder spread toward Wang Haoxian. Bang! The fist and the palm collided. Lu Ming's body trembled and he quickly retreated. He felt his blood and qi surging and he almost vomited blood. I hope it works. Lu Ming thought. Wang Haoxian's body was surrounded by raging flames that could burn everything. However, the underworld Yin powder contained the qi of the underworld. It was extremely cold and could resist the burning of the flames. Die. After Wang Haoxian punched Lu Ming back, she threw out another punch. Lu Ming once again raised his palm and this time, a wisp of underworld Yin powder spread out. Wang Haoxian was furious and didn't notice it at all. In this way, Lu Ming and Wang Haoxian exchanged 5 moves in a row. Lu Ming was pushed back 5 kilometers and spat out a mouthful of blood. No, the underworld Yin powder will probably take a while to take effect. Let's go first. Lu Ming turned around and ran. Don't even think about running. Wang Haoxian chased after him. One chased and one fled. In a short while, they had flown thousands of miles. Wang Haoxian, who was chasing, suddenly changed her expression. Her body trembled and she almost fell to the ground. It's working. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He stopped and turned around to look at Wang Haoxian with a sneer. What did you do to me? Wang Haoxian glared at Lu Ming. Nothing. Just a little bit of poison. Now, do you feel weak all over and can't use your true essence? Lu Ming sneered. You, despicable. Wang Haoxian's face turned pale. Despicable? Do you think I can be as despicable as your Wang family? Now, you're the one who's going to die. Lu Ming stepped out and attacked Wang Haoxian. Wang Haoxian gritted her teeth and turned around to run. Lu Ming chased after her. However, Wang Haoxian had been poisoned by the underworld powder, and it was getting harder and harder for her to use her true essence. Her speed was greatly reduced. Gradually, she couldn't even fly. She landed on the ground and trembled all over. Boom! Lu Ming also landed. He took a step forward and blasted a palm toward Wang Haoxian. At this time, Wang Haoxian couldn't use her true essence at all. She could only use her intent realm to resist. However, without true essence, her intent realm was extremely limited. Lu Ming destroyed Wang Haoxian's intent realm with one punch. Wang Haoxian groaned and her body flew far away. She fell to the ground and spat out blood. Her face was pale. Kill! Lu Ming stepped out, his murderous intent surging. Wang Haoxian closed her eyes in despair. She didn't expect that she wouldn't be able to kill Lu Ming in revenge for Wang Haoxian. Instead, she would be killed. However, after waiting for a while, she didn't feel Lu Ming's palm landing. She couldn't help but open her eyes, only to see Lu Ming looking at her carefully. His eyes flashed with lust from time to time. Chapter 8:11. Wang Haoxian's heart sank. Lu Ming, kill me if you want. If you humiliate me, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Wang Haoxian screamed. Humiliate you? You think too much. Lu Ming said coldly. He didn't kill Wang Haoxian because he thought of a better way. He thought of an inscription array that he learned from Liao Cong, the soul-splitting array. This array was very powerful. If it was engraved in a person's mind, it could penetrate his soul. The person who engraved the array would have complete control over his life and death. Wang Haoxian was very strong in both talent and combat strength. If he could control her, it would be very useful. He could get a lot of useful information from her. However, to engrave such an array, the target must be defenseless. Wang Haoxian couldn't use her genuine qi and was weak. It was the perfect time to do it. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lu Ming pointed at Wang Haoxian's body and completely sealed her. Not only could she not use her genuine qi, but she couldn't even use her will and spiritual fire. Then, Lu Ming took out a drop of Wang Haoxian's blood. Blue spiritual fire spread out from his finger and he started to engrave inscriptions in the void. What? What are you doing? Wang Haoxian said in a trembling voice. She was really panicking. However, Lu Ming didn't care about her and focused on engraving. Lines of inscriptions entered between Wang Haoxian's eyebrows. Wang Haoxian felt that there were more things in her mind and her face became paler. The soul-splitting array was very complicated. It contained 18,000 lines of inscriptions. Lu Ming spent an hour to complete it. Phew! Lu Ming exhaled. Tell me, what did you do to me? Wang Haoxian shouted. I just engraved an array. This array is called the soul-splitting array. It can penetrate your soul and contain my spiritual fire. As long as I use my mind, the soul-splitting array can tear your soul and turn you into an idiot. Lu Ming laughed. Wang Haoxian's face turned even paler. She screamed, You are despicable. You are shameless. You will die a horrible death. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He extended his finger like the wind and tapped on Wang Haoxian's body, releasing her seal. Then, he sat down cross-legged and waited quietly. He was waiting for Wang Haoxian to recover. An hour passed in the blink of an eye. Boom! Wang Haoxian's body emitted terrifying flames. Her killing intent was as cold as ice. Lu Ming, your biggest mistake is that you didn't kill me. Now, die. Wang Haoxian bellowed. Really? Did you forget that I inscribed the soul-splitting array in your mind? Lu Ming sneered. I don't care what you've engraved. Once I kill you, everything will be solved. Wang Haoxian's figure moved, charging towards Lu Ming. But in the next moment, Wang Haoxian's body stiffened, and a painful expression appeared on his face. Ah! A painful scream came out of Wang Haoxian's mouth. She held her head and rolled on the ground. Stop, stop! Wang Haoxian screamed, seeming to be in extreme pain. Lu Ming smiled faintly and stopped controlling the soul-splitting array. Only then did Wang Haoxian stop. She knelt on the ground and panted heavily. In just a short while, her body was drenched in cold sweat. Her thin clothes stuck to her body, accentuating her curvaceous figure. Her face was pale. She looked at Lu Ming in horror and shouted, "You're despicable, you're shameless. Kill me if you dare." Kill you? Why would I kill you? You're very useful to me when you're alive. Lu Ming chuckled. Moreover, let me tell you, the soul-splitting array was created by my spiritual fire. It is completely controlled by my will. As long as I want it, it will activate. Moreover, don't even think about asking the elders of your Wang clan to undo it for you. Other than me, no one can undo it. If you try to forcefully undo it, the soul-splitting array will tear apart your soul and turn you into an idiot. Lu Ming's words made Wang Haoxian's face turn even paler. What are you trying to do? Wang Haoxian said in despair. It's very simple. You just have to stay by my side and be my maid in the future. Lu Ming said faintly. What? Be your maid? Dream on. I'd rather die than be your maid. Wang Haoxian screamed. Who was she? She was the pride of the Wang family and a famous beauty in Jiulong City. She was both beautiful and talented. Countless people fancied her. She was a god-level genius who was respected by many. As long as she continued to walk like this, she would have a great chance of becoming a spirit god in the future. Now, Lu Ming actually asked her to be his servant girl. How could she possibly agree and accept this? She would rather die than submit. You'd better agree. As long as I think about it, the soul-splitting array will turn you into an idiot. Believe it or not, I'll sell you to a brothel after turning you into an idiot. TSK, TSK. Countless men will go crazy if the god-level genius, Wang Haoxian, works as a prostitute in a brothel. Lu Ming sneered. Wang Haoxian's face was pale without a trace of blood. Her body trembled violently. If that was really the case, it would be a great humiliation for her. It would be 10 times or 100 times worse than killing her. She looked at Lu Ming with fear and a strong murderous intent in her eyes. She really wanted to kill Lu Ming with one move, but she didn't dare to. No matter how fast she attacked, it was impossible for her to be faster than Lu Ming's thoughts. She was really afraid that Lu Ming would turn her into an idiot and sell her to a brothel. I forgot to tell you something. The soul-splitting array is closely related to me. As long as I die, the soul-splitting array will automatically explode. So, don't think about killing me. You have to protect me in the future. Understand? Lu Ming said. Wang Haoxian was even more desperate. What do you want me to do? Let me tell you, if you want to do something to me or something that I can't do, I'd rather die than submit. Wang Haoxian gritted her teeth and agreed. Lu Ming smiled and strode forward. He reached out and gently lifted Wang Haoxian's chin. Wang Haoxian's body trembled and her eyes flashed with killing intent. She was really humiliated. The anger in her heart was about to burn her whole body. It was too sullen. Lu Ming was the enemy who killed her brother. She came here to kill Lu Ming for revenge. However, in the end, not only did she fail to kill Lu Ming, but she also fell into Lu Ming's hands. She even had to become Lu Ming's maid and listen to his orders. Not only that, but she also had to protect his safety. Was there anything more sullen in the world than that? Don't worry, I'm not interested in you. Lu Ming smiled faintly and took a few steps back. Such an understatement made Wang Haoxian so angry that her body heaved up and down. Her towering breasts trembled for a while. To be honest, Wang Haoxian was very beautiful. She could be called a peerless beauty with graceful curves. Countless geniuses pursued her. Now that Lu Ming said he was not interested, it was an invisible blow to Wang Haoxian. What I want you to do is very simple. In the future, stay with me in this wild beast forest and hunt demonic beasts to obtain their blood essence. In the future, you have to come here every 7 days to hand in 70% of the blood essence of demonic beasts above the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. For now, just do this one thing. Chapter 8:12. Since there was a free fighter, he naturally had to make full use of it. In the wild beast forest, there were countless powerful beasts. If he went to hunt beasts and devour their blood essence, the speed would be too slow. With Wang Haoxian by his side, he would be able to devote more energy to cultivation. Okay, I promise you. Wang Haoxian gritted her teeth. This request was not difficult, so she could accept it. She was afraid that Lu Ming would make some unreasonable requests, such as warming the bed. 7 days to hand over 7 portions of blood essence of beasts above the 5th layer of the spiritual sea realm. On average, killing 1/5 layer spiritual sea realm beast per day would be enough. This was not difficult for her. After 7 days, we'll meet here. If you come, I'll take it that you betrayed me, and I'll directly activate the soul-splitting formation. Lu Ming said coldly. Then, his figure flashed, and he left. Lu Ming, Lu Ming. Wang Haoxian's eyes flashed with shocking killing intent. Her body trembled violently, and her beautiful face was about to twist. She hated, she was furious. After a while, she took a deep breath and calmed herself down. She planned to listen to Lu Ming's instructions for the time being. In the future, she would find a chance to get the method to break the formation from Lu Ming, and then kill Lu Ming. But first, she had to endure the humiliation. Thinking of this, she completely calmed down. Her figure flashed, and she also left to hunt beasts. Lu Ming naturally did not know what Wang Haoxian was thinking. Even if he knew, he would not care. He was confident that after a while, he would surpass Wang Haoxian in terms of battle strength. Returning to Supreme Nine Yang's cave, Supreme Nine Yang was still sitting cross-legged under the soul-consolidating tree. It seemed like it would take some time. Lu Ming took out a pile of origin stones and sat cross-legged. The 9 dragons' bloodline appeared, and he devoured 100 origin stones in one go. Then, he used all his strength to refine and increase his true origin. After refining 100 origin stones, another 100 origin stones. Rumble. In the spiritual sea, the waves roared, overturning rivers and seas. When Lu Ming refined 800 origin stones, the area of the spiritual sea doubled again. Lu Ming's cultivation entered the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm. Then, he continued to refine the origin stone. After another 4 days, Lu Ming's cultivation rose to the peak of the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean tier. At the peak of the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm, Lu Ming had reached a bottleneck. If he wanted to advance further, he would have to train both the earth concept and the thunder concept to the lower tier of the 2nd level before he could continue to advance. 7 days have passed. Let's go and see if Wang Haoxian has brought back the blood essence. With a thought, Lu Ming left the cave and went to the place where he and Wang Haoxian had agreed to meet last time. From afar, Wang Haoxian could be seen sitting cross-legged. Her entire body was surrounded by a layer of fire, making her look like a goddess of fire. To be honest, Wang Haoxian, who was cultivating with her eyes closed and had no killing intent, was still very beautiful. Flames danced around her, giving her a mesmerizing feeling. When Lu Ming arrived, Wang Haoxian opened her eyes. "Have you obtained the blood essence of the demonic beasts?" Lu Ming asked with a smile. "Here." Wang Haoxian waved her hand, and 7 jade bottles flew towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming picked up a jade bottle and looked inside. There were 9 drops of blood essence that looked like blood-red pearls. It was the blood essence of the demonic beasts. If the blood essence of demonic beasts above the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier was taken out and sealed in a jade bottle, it could be kept for a month without dissipating. The more powerful the being, the stronger the energy and activity of the blood essence, and the longer it could be kept. After throwing the blood essence to Lu Ming, Wang Haoxian turned and left. "Stop!" Lu Ming shouted coldly. Wang Haoxian's body trembled. She turned around and looked at Lu Ming, saying, "What do you want now? Don't forget your identity. You are now my maid." "Is this how a maid treats her master?" Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and said with a smile. Wang Haoxian gritted her teeth, glaring at Lu Ming with hatred. "What do you want?" Wang Haoxian gritted her teeth. "A maid should have the attitude of a maid. Otherwise, I will make you warm my bed." Lu Ming's lips curled into an evil smile. "Don't even think about it." Wang Haoxian's face was red with anger. Her eyes widened, and after a while, she finally gave in. She bowed slightly, gnashing her teeth, and said, Young Master Lu Ming, I will take my leave." Saying this seemed to take all of Wang Haoxian's strength. She was panting slightly. "Again, if you are not sincere enough, and you are gnashing your teeth like this, people who don't know will think that you want to eat me, and think that there is some deep hatred between us. Say it properly, and remember, your attitude must be sincere. You must treat me as a young master from the bottom of your heart, a young master who is respected by you. Do you understand?" Lu Ming started giving instructions. Wang Haoxian almost spat out blood. She roared in her heart, "There is a deep hatred between us, okay? And you want to be sincere? How?" If she was not controlled by the formation, she would chop Lu Ming into pieces. How could she be sincere? "Young Master Lu Ming, I will take my leave." Wang Haoxian took a deep breath, and then spoke. Her voice was softer than before. "Forget it, just a so-so. Practice more in the future. Go." Lu Ming waved his hand discontentedly. This made Wang Haoxian's chest rise and fall again. She kept telling herself in her heart, "Endure, you must endure. Only by enduring can you have a chance to take revenge on Lu Ming later." After Wang Haoxian left, Lu Ming also returned to the cave residence. Then, he opened the 7 jade bottles one by one. Of the 7 blood essences, 5 were from the 5th layer of the spiritual C tier, and 2 were from the 6th layer of the spiritual C tier. The 9 dragons' bloodline opened its mouth, swallowed all the blood essences, and began to refine them. Now, Lu Ming used all the blood essences to upgrade the 9 dragons' bloodline. First, he would upgrade the 9 dragons' bloodline to the divine grade. Then, he would have 2 divine grade bloodlines, and his battle strength would be even stronger. In less than a day, all the blood essences were refined. Obviously, these blood essences were not enough to upgrade the 9 dragons' bloodline to the divine grade. Senior 9's sons will probably need some time to recover here. Now that Xiaoqing and the fatty are not in danger, it is most suitable for them to cultivate in the Sky Vault Legacy grounds. I will cultivate here. Lu Ming sat cross-legged on the ground, thinking about the direction of cultivation. 9 Dragons' Heaven Stomping Steps is not far from the 5th step. There is also the 3 unique skills of the Dragon God. I have to find time to integrate the Earth concept into it. This way, I will have another way to fight the enemy. Of course, the most important thing is the comprehension of the concept. Also, I can't neglect the Tao of inscription. Thinking of this, Lu Ming's fingers glowed, and the infinite dragon spear appeared in his hand. Senior 9 Sons has a lot of precious metals here. I can refine the infinite dragon spear. With a thought, a piece of metal appeared in his hand. This piece of metal was called Star Moon Iron. On it, there were little star-like patterns, and it was very beautiful. Blue spiritual fire appeared in Lu Ming's hand, and it wrapped around the Star Moon Iron and began to burn it. Soon, the Star Moon Iron softened, and finally turned into a pool of liquid that wrapped around the infinite dragon spear. Lu Ming waved his fingers, and lines of inscriptions bloomed in the air, flying toward the infinite dragon spear. Chapter 8:13. The infinite dragon spear had an infinite amount of black metal. It could continuously fuse with other precious metals to upgrade the infinite dragon spear's grade. Although Supreme 9 Yang's storage ring contained higher-grade spiritual weapons, such as LV7 and even LV8, there was no lack of spear-type spiritual weapons. However, although those spiritual weapons were of high quality, they had no potential and their grades were fixed. The infinite dragon spear was Lu Ming's natal spiritual weapon and had unlimited potential. Naturally, Lu Ming chose to use the infinite dragon spear. 3 hours later, the infinite dragon spear let out a buzzing sound and shone brightly. LV6, Supreme Grade. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. After fusing with a piece of precious star moon metal and adding Lu Ming's inscriptions, the infinite dragon spear was upgraded to LV6 Supreme Grade. In the sky, there seemed to be an inscription power descending and fusing with Lu Ming's spiritual fire, causing his spiritual fire to slowly rise. This was the reward given to him by the law of inscription after refining a LV6 Supreme Grade spiritual weapon. Lu Ming was not satisfied with the LV6 Supreme Grade spiritual weapon. He took out another piece of precious metal and began to refine it. A day later, the infinite dragon spear vibrated again and reached LV6 Supreme Grade. With Lu Ming's current inscription skills and good materials, it was not difficult for him to refine a LV6 Supreme Grade spiritual weapon. Next, Lu Ming wanted to refine the infinite dragon spear to LV7, which was a little difficult. Lu Ming took out a few pieces of precious metal. Blue spiritual fire spread out and Lu Ming began to refine it. This time, it took a total of 3 days. Buzz! The infinite dragon spear vibrated continuously and spear light shot up to the sky. Lu Ming quickly waved his hand and brought the infinite dragon spear into the Temple of Paragon so as not to disturb Supreme 9 Yang. The infinity dragon spear emitted a brilliant glow as a powerful aura spread out from it. LV7, Superior LV7. Lu Ming's eyes brightened, revealing a look of great joy. Success! Lu Ming had raised the infinite dragon spear to the upper grade of the 7th rank. If others knew that he had forged a 7th rank spirit weapon, they would probably be scared to death. If an inscription master was able to create a peak or peerless spirit weapon of their own level, it would already be very impressive. To create a spirit weapon of a higher level was too difficult. Normal true inscription masters would not be able to do it. Furthermore, the higher the grade of the spirit weapon, the harder it was to refine it. And now, Lu Ming had only lit up one of his level 6 blue spirit lamps. If he could light up a few more, it wouldn't be impossible for him to refine a level 7 spirit lamp, or even a level 7 spirit lamp. Strands of inscription energy descended from the unseen world. Lu Ming's spirit flame kept growing stronger. Suddenly, the light of the second spirit lamp flashed, and a blue flame ignited. Lu Ming had lit up the second blue spirit lamp, and his spirit power was even stronger. Lu Ming revealed a look of joy. Holding the long spear in his hand, he waved it casually. The space trembled, and a faint dragon roar could be heard. Then, Lu Ming put away the infinite dragon spear. The Enlightenment Ancient Tree is changing. Suddenly, Lu Ming's figure moved and appeared on another platform. The Enlightenment Ancient Tree was placed here. At this time, the Enlightenment Ancient Tree was sparkling and there were circles of light spreading out. A mysterious aura floated out. On the pitch-black branch, there was a green leaf. It was dark green and crystal clear. There were mysterious patterns on it, as if it contained the truth of the universe. And next to this dark green leaf, a second green leaf appeared. More than 10 days ago, Lu Ming watered the mother spring on the mysterious yellow silicon soil. Sure enough, the mother spring was worthy of being called a rare treasure in the world. It successfully made the Enlightenment ancient tree grow a second leaf. Lu Ming closed his eyes and carefully comprehended. After a while, he opened his eyes, and there was a look of surprise in his eyes. The Enlightenment ancient tree's second leaf had indeed greatly increased Lu Ming's comprehension speed. In the past, it was equivalent to 10 times the normal state. Now, it was 20 times. Yes, under the Enlightenment ancient tree, Lu Ming's state of comprehension was 20 times the normal state. Lu Ming was naturally ecstatic. In this way, his cultivation speed could be increased again. The Enlightenment ancient tree was indeed a rare treasure in the world. In ancient times, only the strongest could possess it. Immediately, Lu Ming sat cross-legged and quietly comprehended the will of heaven and earth. Soon, 7 days passed. Lu Ming went out and collected the blood essence of the demonic beasts that Wang Haoxian had sent. This time, there were 4 blood essences of demonic beasts in the 5th level of the spiritual sea realm and 3 blood essences of demonic beasts in the 6th level of the spiritual sea realm. After refining, the 9 dragons' bloodline still did not advance. Just like this, every 7 days, Lu Ming refined the blood essence. The rest of the time was spent on cultivation. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed since Lu Ming had controlled Wang Haoxian. During this time, Lu Ming had made great progress in all aspects, especially in the will of heaven and earth and the thunder will, which had reached the lower 2nd level. The earth will was also close. At this time, the 9 dragons' bloodline had finally reached its limit and was about to advance. This was the 4th time that Lu Ming had refined the blood essence of the demonic beasts that Wang Haoxian had sent. In the Temple of Paragon. Roar. The 9 dragons' bloodline roared to the sky. Its body twisted and turned in the air. Its body was filled with light. As the 9 holes bloodline roared, its body began to grow longer and thicker. The scales on its body became brighter and more crystal clear. A claw extended from the 9 dragons' bloodline's abdomen. The 5th claw. 5 claws, a true dragon. After a while, a 1,000-meter-long true dragon with 5 claws under its abdomen appeared above Lu Ming's head. There was a golden chakra on the true dragon's body, shining with dazzling light. The 9 dragons' bloodline had finally advanced to the divine bloodline and transformed into a true dragon's body. Back. The 9 dragons' bloodline roared, its aura soaring to the sky. At this moment, in the depths of the 9 dragon city, where the 3 dragon veins converged, there was a palace floating in the air. It seemed to be in the depths of the void. It could be seen, but could not be approached. In the deepest part of the palace, there was a figure sitting cross-legged in the void. This was a middle-aged man around 50 years old. He wore a black battle robe and was tall and sturdy. His eyes were closed as he sat there quietly. However, from his body, there seemed to be a boundless majesty. It was as if this person was a peerless overlord, a peerless emperor who could dominate the universe and control countless lives. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. At this moment, the entire world lit up. The surrounding space was instantly annihilated as if it could not withstand the immense pressure and turned into a pitch-black chaotic space. The 9 dragons' bloodline has finally appeared. It seems to have evolved to the divine bloodline. Jiao Yang, you've really put in a lot of effort to use a sealing technique to isolate the aura of the 9 dragons' blood essence. Unfortunately, you've underestimated your master. Master's methods are not something you can pry into. Even if there's a seal, I have my own detection technique. The 9 dragons' blood essence seems to be in 9 Dragons City. There's a treasure blocking it. The middle-aged man muttered to himself. After a while, he frowned slightly. Chapter 8:14. Jiao Yang, you must have found a young genius to be your successor, right? Do you want to take revenge on me? Hee hee, how naive. Since you are in Nine Dragon City, I will find you. Let's leave this matter to the ancient families. The middle-aged man whispered. Then, his lips moved and he seemed to have said something. Soon, 6 middle-aged men walked in. Each and every one of these 6 middle-aged men possessed imposing auras. From a single glance, one could tell that they were people of high status and possessed the aura of an overlord. However, the 6 middle-aged men were extremely respectful before the black-clothed man. Greetings, Your Majesty. The 6 middle-aged men bowed and greeted him. Obviously, the middle-aged man in black was the ruler of Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, one of the overlords of Eastern Wilderness, Martial Emperor D.E. The 6 middle-aged men who came later were the family heads of the 6 ancient families. May I know why Your Majesty has summoned the 6 of us? The family head of the Dongfang family bowed and asked. During this period of time, pay close attention to the geniuses in Nine Dragon City, especially those who have awakened the true dragon bloodline. If there are any, bring them here. Martial Emperor D.E. instructed. Yes. The 6 family heads bowed and accepted the order. Go. After Martial Emperor D.E. instructed, he closed his eyes again. The patriarchs of the 6 ancient families bowed and left. Roar. The 9 dragon bloodline roared and its aura was shocking. Whoosh. Lu Ming turned into a ray of light and entered the 9 dragon bloodline, merging with it. At this moment, Lu Ming seemed to have turned into a true dragon and had the power to destroy the world. After a while, the 9 dragon bloodline shrank and turned into Lu Ming's appearance. I wonder if the 9 dragon bloodline has any other functions after becoming a divine bloodline? The devouring power should be stronger, right? I should find a chance to try it. Lu Ming thought excitedly as he sensed it carefully. All of a sudden, he felt a strange power in the 9 dragons bloodline at his spine. This power was extremely terrifying and Lu Ming seemed to be able to draw out this power at any time. What kind of power is this? I should go out and try it. Lu Ming left the Supreme Divine Palace and appeared on a mountain peak thousands of miles away. With a thought, Lu Ming drew out the power of the 9 dragons bloodline. This power was similar to True Origin, but it was completely different. Lu Ming felt that the essence of this power was thousands of miles stronger than True Essence. Roar. As soon as this energy was drawn out, it emitted an astonishing dragon roar. Then, this energy fused into Lu Ming's body. At this moment, Lu Ming's muscles swelled up and scales appeared on his skin. Dragon scales, these were dragon scales. At this moment, Lu Ming felt as if his entire body was filled with boundless power. Boom! Lu Ming punched out. Everywhere his fist passed, the air turned into liquid and then evaporated. Space was like paper, folding in front of his fist. A terrifying fist energy exploded out. Boom! Boom! Wherever the fist energy passed, 7 huge mountains were pierced by the fist energy and exploded. Many demonic beasts roared crazily and were sent flying far away. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. The power of this punch was terrifying. This was just a casual punch from Lu Ming. What kind of power is this? It's too strong. Lu Ming was shocked and excited at the same time. Dragon power, the power of a true dragon. Kid, this is the power of a true dragon. Dandan shouted on Lin Fan's shoulder. Dragon power? Lu Ming was puzzled. Dragon power is a power that only a true dragon can control. It's extremely powerful and is many times stronger than True Origin. Kid, you can control dragon power? Dandan exclaimed. I can't control it. It's just a force born from the bloodline. Lu Ming arrived. While speaking, Lu Ming felt that the dragon power in his body was slowly weakening. Soon, the dragon power seemed to be exhausted. The dragon scales on Lu Ming's skin also disappeared. Why is it gone? Lu Ming was shocked. It couldn't be that it was exhausted just like that, right? Brat, don't worry. Once it's used up, it will recover. Even if it's just one strand, you've already made a fortune. The power of the dragon force is not something that Jin Yuan can compare to. You've seen the power just now. Dandan said. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Could this be the benefit of the 9 dragons' bloodline being promoted to God realm? A dragon power was condensed in the bloodline. After Lu Ming unleashed it, his battle strength would increase greatly. This could be Lu Ming's trump card. I remember now. Kid, the bloodline you awakened, it can't be the 9 dragons' bloodline, right? Dandan suddenly shouted, staring at Lu Ming. Yes, what's wrong? Lu Ming said. It's really the 9 dragons' bloodline. How did you awaken it? Using the 9 dragons' blood essence? Dandan asked again. Didn't you already know this? Lu Ming was speechless. Dandan was by his side every day. Dandan already knew his secret. I just thought it was familiar before. Now, I finally remember. 9 dragons, so it's that kid 9 dragons. It seems that it has died in battle. Dandan suddenly sighed. That kid 9 dragons? Lu Ming was a little speechless. However, he was used to Dandan's bragging tone. He asked curiously, Dandan, do you know 9 dragons? Nonsense, of course I know them. I'm the leader of the top 10 beasts. 9 dragons is also one of the top 10 beasts. I was the one who guided him back then. His devouring talent could be maximized. Haven't you mastered it too? Dandan clasped his hands behind his back and spoke like an old man. 9 dragons is also one of the top 10 beasts? Then what are the top 10 beasts? Lu Ming was very curious. He had heard Dandan talk about the top 10 beasts every day. He had long wanted to know. Kid, the top 10 beasts are existences that surpass the divine beasts. Each of them is unique and powerful. With your current cultivation, it's useless to know. I'll tell you later. Dandan said proudly. Forget it, I'll find out myself in the future. Lu Ming said. Then, he returned to the cave and continued to cultivate. After the 9 dragons' bloodline was promoted to the divine rank, its devouring power had increased by dozens of times. The refining of blood essence was extremely fast. Under the Enlightenment ancient tree, Lu Ming's cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. Supreme 9 Yang was also under the soul consolidating tree and did not wake up. Time flew by quickly. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, soon, Lu Ming came to the wild beasts forest. 5 months had passed. In these 5 months, Lu Ming had improved rapidly in all aspects. First, he lit 2 more path of inscription. Just a few days ago, Lu Ming had lit a total of 4 blue spirit lamps. As for the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps, Lu Ming had successfully cultivated to the 5th step and was moving towards the 6th step. Chapter 8:15. Other than the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps, Lu Ming also successfully integrated the concept of earth into the 3 ultimate skills of the dragon god, making it a demigod martial skill. Lu Ming cultivated it to the highest level. With this, Lu Ming undoubtedly had many more tricks up his sleeves. As for the concept of heaven and earth, his progress was also very fast. Wind, fire, and thunder, the 3 concepts of heaven and earth had all reached the greater success of level 2. Only the concept of earth was stuck at the peak of level 2 initial success for several months. The concept of earth was very difficult to cultivate, and there were many bottlenecks. If he wanted to improve it, it would be much slower than the 9 common concepts. Most importantly, Lu Ming had to multitask. If he only cultivated one concept of earth, his speed would definitely be much faster. As the concept increased, his cultivation would naturally increase quickly as well. Now, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of the 5th level of the spiritual sea realm. Compared to 5 months ago, it had increased by 3 levels. Their overall combat strength was much stronger than it was 5 months ago. Such a huge improvement was inseparable from the Enlightenment ancient tree. Of course, there was also the huge amount of resources left behind by Supreme Nine Sons. Lu Ming turned around and looked in the direction of Supreme Nine Sons. Supreme Nine Sons was still sitting cross-legged under the soul consolidating tree. It had already been 5 months, and he had not moved at all. However, Supreme Nine Sons' remnant soul was much more condensed than 5 months ago, giving off a heavy feeling. The soul consolidating fruits on the 2 soul consolidating trees had long disappeared. Not only that, even the 2 soul consolidating trees had completely withered, turning into dead branches. Lu Ming had a feeling that Supreme Nine Sons would wake up soon. Shwa! Lu Ming's figure moved, and he left the cave. It was time to collect the blood essence once every 7 days. Not long after, he saw a figure standing in the air, facing the wind. It was Wang Haoxian. Seeing Lu Ming come, Wang Haoxian waved his hand and threw 7 jade bottles to Lu Ming. After Lu Ming caught them, he threw the 7 empty jade bottles to Wang Haoxian. What do you want so much blood essence for? Are you refining pills? Wang Haoxian asked curiously. After 5 months, Wang Haoxian's state of mind had gradually calmed down. It seemed that she had gotten used to coming here every 7 days to hand over 7 sets of blood essence to meet Lu Ming. Over the past 5 months, Wang Haoxian had not asked Wang Haoxian's hands blood essence. How about a battle with me? Lu Ming's mouth suddenly spoke after 5 months of tough cultivation. Lu Ming wanted to test the results of his cultivation. Wang Haoxian's hands. Wang Yi, heaven's god. Wang's fingers heavens. Hands hand, eyes hands. Wang Haoxian's eyes flashed. Eyes I hand mice hands my there's hands gods. God's mice. God. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Fine. You asked for it. Wang Haoxian's eyes turned cold. Her body emitted blazing flames. She strode forward and threw a punch. The blazing fist radiance blasted toward Lu Ming. The infinite dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. He waved it casually and shattered the fist radiance. No need to test me. Use your full strength. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Wang Haoxian furrowed her brows slightly. Her punch just now had 80% of her strength from 5 months ago. If it had been 5 months ago, Lu Ming would definitely have been sent flying. But now, Lu Ming had defeated her fist gleam effortlessly. It seemed that Lu Ming had made great progress in the past 5 months. Boom! The next moment, Wang Haoxian's aura burst out. Instantly, it reached the peak of the 5th layer of the spiritual sea realm. But it was not the limit. The early stage of the 6th layer of the spiritual sea realm, the middle stage of the 6th layer of the spiritual sea realm, it kept increasing until it reached the peak of the 6th layer of the spiritual sea realm. Obviously, Wang Haoxian's cultivation had also made great progress in the past few months. That was for sure. It was impossible that Lu Ming was the only one who was improving. Others were also improving all the time. Boom! Wang Haoxian stepped forward and threw a punch at Lu Ming. The power of this punch was even more terrifying. That's right. Lu Ming laughed. His aura burst out. His long spear was like a dragon. With a thrust, a 4-color dragon flew out and pounced forward. With a boom, Wang Haoxian's fist radiance was shattered. Although the 4-color dragon became smaller, it still pounced forward. How can he be so strong? Wang Haoxian's expression changed. She waved her fists again and 2 fist radiances were thrown out. 1 fist radiance and the 4-color dragon were shattered at the same time, while the other one blasted toward Lu Ming. Whoosh! The spear radiance burst out. Lu Ming shattered Wang Haoxian's fist radiance with 1 spear and strode forward. The spear radiance was like a mountain, smashing toward Wang Haoxian. Wang Haoxian roared. Flames burned as she tried her best to fight with Lu Ming. But the more they fought, the more shocked Wang Haoxian was. She was actually suppressed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's cultivation was at the peak of the 5th layer of the spiritual sea realm, one level lower than her, but he was still suppressing her. What was surprising was that Lu Ming did not seem to be using bloodline martial arts. That was even more surprising. In fact, this was normal. In the past 5 months, Lu Ming's 4 types of mentalities had all broken through and improved. Wang Haoxian's mentalities had reached the 2nd level of perfection 5 months ago. Although it had improved in the past month, it was still at the 2nd level of perfection. So, in terms of mentalities, Lu Ming's improvement was much greater than hers. That was why Lu Ming could surpass 1 level and easily suppress her. No, I can't be defeated by him. Wang Haoxian roared in her heart. Above her head, purple flames appeared. Her body melted into the purple flames. The purple flames twisted and turned into a purple fire bird, pouncing toward Lu Ming. Bloodline fusion. I've been waiting for this move. Lu Ming smiled. The infinite dragon spear disappeared, and a palm struck toward Wang Haoxian. Pung! As the palm struck, the space shook. The fire bird screamed and flew back, turning back into Wang Haoxian's figure. Her face was pale, and blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth. Her eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Lu Ming did not even use bloodline fusion. He defeated her bloodline fusion with 1 move and beat her back to her original form. How could it be so terrifying? She felt that the power of Lu Ming's palm strike seemed to be able to suppress the heaven and earth, making her feel that she could not resist. What followed was depression and dejection. 5 months. It had only been 5 months. 5 months ago, Lu Ming was no match for her at all. She chased him all over the place and he was almost killed by her. 5 months later, even though her cultivation level had increased by 1 level, she was still easily defeated by Lu Ming in 1 move. It was hard for her to accept. Would she still have any hope of revenge against Lu Ming in the future? Her hope was getting slimmer and slimmer. Wang Haoxian felt a sense of helplessness. This feeling of helplessness only came when she faced those monsters at the top of the list of top 1,000 talents. Could it be that Lu Ming could compete with those perverts? The hell-suppressing heaven skill is equivalent to an upper demigod martial technique. It's really powerful. Chapter 8:16. In the past 5 months, Lu Ming had devoured more than 150 portions of blood essence from beasts above the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean realm. It was impossible for his bloodline to not improve. The suppressing prison monument bloodline and the 9 dragons bloodline both improved by 1 level. Both bloodlines reached the 2nd level of the divine rank. When the suppressing prison monument bloodline reached the 2nd level of the divine rank, the power of the suppressing prison celestial skill skyrocketed again, reaching the power of an upper-grade half-god martial technique. However, it should be equivalent to the 1st level of an upper-grade half-god martial technique. Even so, its power was several times stronger than the highest level of a low-grade half-god martial technique. An upper-grade half-god martial technique could only be mastered by spirit embryo realm experts. Only then could they unleash its full power. Its power was terrifyingly strong. When the 9 dragons bloodline reached the 2nd level of the divine rank, Lu Ming discovered that there was actually an additional dragon power. There were 2 dragon powers in the bloodline. This made Lu Ming look forward to the bloodline's upgrade even more. However, it was even more difficult to upgrade the bloodline at the divine rank. However, the 3rd bloodline had not awakened yet. It was as if it was still brewing and accumulating. This made Lu Ming feel rather helpless. He could only wait. Let's go. Follow me to hunt beasts. Lu Ming instructed Wang Haoxian. In the past 5 months, Lu Ming almost did not engage in any battles. He spent almost all of his time cultivating. Cultivating blindly was not enough. There had to be a great battle. Only by combining the 2 could it be the path of martial cultivation. Lu Ming planned to kill beasts in the Wild Beast Mountain range while obtaining blood essence. When Supreme Nine Suns woke up, he would head to the Ocean Cloud sect. Back then, he had made an appointment with Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin to meet at the Ocean Cloud sect half a year later. Wang Haoxian bit her lips and followed behind Lu Ming. No one knew what she was thinking. Lu Ming was too lazy to care. He and Wang Haoxian went deep into the Wild Beast Mountain range to search for high-level beasts. Lu Ming was too lazy to hunt beasts in the 5th and 6th layer of the spiritual ocean realm. Their blood essence was too weak for Lu Ming. He had to hunt beasts in the 7th layer of the spiritual ocean realm at least. Soon, the two were 100,000 miles deep. Roar! A giant black bear, 10 meters tall, with blood-red eyes, exuded a terrifying and powerful aura. This was a demonic beast at the peak of the 7th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, charging towards Lu Ming fearlessly. A spear light materialized in his hand. With a wave of his hand, the spear light pierced through the void and pierced through the head of the giant bear. Lu Ming could casually kill a normal peak of the 7th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. Devouring power erupted from his palm, devouring the blood essence of the giant bear and refining it. The refining power of the 9 dragons' bloodline of the divine realm was incomparably terrifying. In just a few minutes, the giant bear's blood essence was completely refined. The two continued to go deeper, and before long, an 8th layer spiritual ocean tier beast appeared, but was still easily killed by Lu Ming. The two of them advanced, and in a day's time, there were as many as 10 beasts in the 7th layer of the spiritual ocean tier and above that died at Lu Ming's hands. Lu Ming used it to upgrade the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline, but it was like throwing a stone into the ocean. It didn't cause any ripples. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, a rumbling sound came from ahead. Sword chi soared into the sky, and there were roars of demonic beasts. Someone was fighting with demonic beasts. In the Wild Beast Mountain range, there were often people who entered to hunt demonic beasts, obtain materials, and search for some spirit herbs. Lu Ming didn't mind, bypassing that place and continuing forward. Soon, they advanced another 10,000 miles. That seems to be a bloodstained flower. Suddenly, several spirit flowers appeared in front of them. The spirit flowers were dark red, emitting a rich medicinal fragrance. Bloodstained flower was a 6th-level high-grade spirit herb. Although Lu Ming didn't care much about it now, since he saw it, he naturally wouldn't miss it. Lu Ming was just about to walk over when a buzzing sound suddenly sounded in the sky. A group of dark red flying insects flew towards Lu Ming and the others. There were too many of these dark red flying insects, at least 10,000 of them. Bloodstained bugs equivalent to Peak King tier. Lu Ming's mind moved, recognizing these flying insects. Who? Lu Ming didn't make a move, but Wang Haoxian did. She waved her hand, and purple flames spread out, enveloping the sky. In the next moment, the 10,000 bloodstained bugs were burned to ashes. Lu Ming smiled and stepped forward. Suddenly, shwa! Shwa! The sound of air being torn apart rang out, and 7 or 8 figures flew over at extreme speed. Little guy, those bloodstained flowers are ours. An aged voice sounded, and 8 figures appeared, standing above Lu Ming and the others. A vast aura spread out. These 8 people were undoubtedly experts. 5 at the 7th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, and 3 at the 8th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. No wonder they dared to go hundreds of thousands of miles deep into the Wild Beast Mountain range. Of the 8 people, there were white-haired old men and middle-aged men. Get lost. A cold voice came from Lu Ming's mouth. Little guy, what did you say? You're so young, and you don't know how to respect your elders? Looks like I'll have to teach you a lesson on behalf of your elders. A short and fat old man's face revealed anger, and he stared at Lu Ming with an unfriendly gaze. An enormous aura spread out, and the aura of the peak of the 7th layer of the spiritual ocean tier pressed down on Lu Ming. If you don't get lost, I'll kill him. Lu Ming didn't even look at the short and fat old man, and stepped toward the bloodstained flowers. These words were directed at Wang Haoxian. "You're courting death." The short and fat old man shouted angrily, and a battle saber appeared in his hand. His figure flashed, and he slashed at Lu Ming. But in the next moment, a figure appeared in front of the old man, and a blazing aura spread out as a fist punched out. Pung! The short and fat old man was like a firework, instantly turning into flames and exploding, not even leaving behind ashes. Raging Flame Sky Burning Art, the Wang family's Raging Flame Sky Burning Art. So young, but so powerful. Could she be the Wang family's god-tier genius, Wang Haoxian? It should be her. The other 7 people cried out involuntarily. They came from a big force in Nine Dragon City, but that force was far inferior to the Wang family. Get lost, or die. Wang Haoxian shouted coldly. Deep fear flashed in the eyes of the 7 people. Although their cultivation was high, they still had deep respect for such a god-tier genius. The combat power of a god-tier genius was too strong, and it couldn't be measured by cultivation at all. But what shocked them the most was that Wang Haoxian seemed to be taking orders from that young man. Just now, that young man completely ordered Wang Haoxian in a commanding tone. Who was that young man? It was unbelievable that he could order a god-tier genius like Wang Haoxian. They looked at Lu Ming, and their eyes flashed with respect. That was a misunderstanding. Let's go, we'll go immediately. The other 7 people laughed and flew forward quickly, going deep into the wild beast forest. Lu Ming didn't bother to pay attention to them, and he casually picked the bloodstained flowers. Then, he continued to look for beasts to kill. In the blink of an eye, half a day passed. Roar! Roar! Suddenly, a few beasts' roars came from the front, shaking heaven and earth. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.